crashing towards the last Nexus turret. Emperor has been found. They are committing quite a lot to getting him, though, and he is able to get out and away from this one. Thorn taking a bit of damage. Cutlight has to flash, but the damage is far too much. The plasma will proc and turn the Ornn to dust. Thorn goes in and goes golden, but there's no follow-up at all. That's a double kill for Tomasco. Kurach will be able to find Emperor, but it is nowhere for 42 to hide as Tomasco gets a quadra kill to close out the game.
Painful running up, trying to find something. As look at this, Bucci on the flank. Flash from Dr. Chaos is going to find the double knockup. Teleport going to be coming in. We'll see what they can do here. Fight's going through. Nice ultimate from the Immovable. Painful's able to pick up a kill. Double kill for him. Make it a triple as they just wipe the board. Quadra kill. Will we see the penta from Painful? You have to give it to him. There it is. Penta kill for Painful on his Zed. I mean, as far as invulnerables go, so that mountain would do very well in their pocket, but unfortunately, yep, gotta find the easy kill on the Emperor.
I mean, he said hola. Actually, no, wait, what's
he said adios.
In Spanish? Adios.
Yeah, he's sitting in the mist, trying to find something. 3k health now. Engage tools being used by everybody, as now the Zaya trying to use. No way! It's too much! Lucky Vince in the back here, trying to make something happen, trying to survive, but it's just not enough.
It's going to be soul point otherwise. Everybody does have their flashes up and available. These carries are going to be hard to get onto.
Oh, okay, wait, they missed the unstoppable force. Now they don't have anything else to engage with.
You are in trouble!
And Modlishka with the picture perfect Nico ultimate. Everybody's going down. Now has the freedom to walk in. You may call your blades, but Cutlight will be called to the dead, and so will you, Rudy Fresh.
As you just saw, the NLC Div 2, the place of big plays but not long stays. We're in the playoffs. It is time for the losers final. This is the second to last series that you will watch of the NLC Div 2 summer. The winner of this goes to finals. I'm Jay Real. This is Zathos. I pointed the wrong way, but Zathos, welcome in. How are you feeling about today's matchup?
I'm super excited to be back in the NLC, and I'm so excited for today's game. We have Munster Rugby Gaming versus Lundqvist and Lightside. Of course, second place on Lightside. Munster Rugby Gaming kind of getting a bit smashed by Venom Crest, still being the top dogs. However, whoever wins it here is going to be going to the grand finals, have a chance to try and take out the Kings.
And we talked about Venom Crest a lot throughout this season. They have been the boogeymen. They have been the dangers of this whole league. I believe they might even still be undefeated going through to the finals. So they are just a problem to deal with. But can there be a redemption arc? We'll have to find out. Because talking about redemption arcs, it's time for LLS to see if they have theirs. We saw these two teams play in the first round. It was a 3-0 to MRG. And we'll see if things have started to shift since then. Because, you know what? LLS, they've had a pretty turbulent time to get here.
Yeah, turbulent time to say the least, because even in the regular split, we're actually able to pick up both games against Munster Rugby Gaming. Losing 3-0 though in the actual playoffs is not really what you want, and with their kind of playstyle recently, hasn't been going the way they want, because it feels like Munster Rugby Gaming, as the season's gone through, has just got to higher highs, as they've really understood they want to play from mid to bot, compared to the side of Lightside, where even as an analyst, I have no idea where they want to play, but this mostly comes down to their play style of trying to outhand you in the early game.
Yeah, I believe we're going to be going into Champ Select. Yeah, if we think about it, right, they've played 5 games in total, and essentially it was a reverse sweep to MRG. So we'll see if that luck continues for them, or if maybe we're going to see another reverse sweep today. Who knows? We could go to 5. But going into the bans, LS versus MRG, two teams that have played against each other a lot. The Tristana ban, no surprise. I'm not going to lie to you, in the last time these two teams met, MRG though, they kept it real, they kept it simple. They banned Rumble, Rakan, LeBlanc every single game. We'll see if it's going to be consistent today as well. Ooh.
Okay, we're different. Okay.
Okay.
For a bit of the spice, banning away EMP's jungler of the Graveside he has been really well known for. As the first pick will be coming through, is going to be part of that Lovish duo, going to be picking up the Zaya, going to be really good at playing a front to back team fight, and it's a different look from the side of Lightside, as it isn't that early game aggression, and it will get counteracted by picking up that rail, flex towards the jungle, and even the Aphelios AD carry we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, and it feels like MRG really good at team fighting, right? They really sunk their teeth into that kind of style. They used it a lot when we saw this last best of 5. Kind of sticking to it again with the Rel and the Aphelios. Obviously, we'll have to see where that where the Rel goes. On the other side, though, Zaya, Rakan, going for a little bit more team fight, a little bit late game. The Renekton has been quite a popular pick for them recently, so I'm interested to see them pull that one out once again. Obviously, it gives a lot of stability in the top side. It allows you to play more on that bot side and that mid, and I feel like versus this team, that's what they need.
Yeah, definitely as well give them the comfortability of allowing your top lane to just stay on his own, be comfortable, and play towards this bot side, which Lightside, when you have players like Ninja and Dr. Chaos who love this early game pressure, giving them the lovers duo should give them the utility they need to maybe find these leads. However, MIG with a great counteraction have picked up the threat, has that flake, has that lantern to try and stop them from getting onto the carries, but this does mean that Israel will be in the jungle, so they're going to have counter pick on that.
Yeah, I agree with you fully, actually. I really like that you brought that up, because I would have maybe liked them to hide where the rail goes a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, Dominus has to fall at some point. I do like the Thresh a lot. It goes super well with the Aphelios, and there's obviously the risk that could get banned out in the second phase. And talk about second phase bans, we are starting to see a little bit of priority from LS onto the top side. I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen any priority onto the mid so far, because Influentic, a really big player in the last series, the Aurelion Souls, the Zeras, really stood out. And I do wonder if they kind of go to that, or maybe they found what they think works, right? Yone was a pretty good pick for Painful when he came up against Influentic last time, but that is about to be banned, so maybe they need to find a new strat.
Well, we do see that MIG's mid laner hasn't been banned out at all, instead trying to get some of the counters out against this Renekton, taking away the Jax, taking away the Aatrox. Talked about Influentic was a massive influential part on MIG, how they won. Has all of his champions up and he has to decide what he wants to pick up. Could go for the Zeph yet again, but maybe we might be seeing something different. Maybe because they lost against Venomcrest in their last series, MIG have changed it up a bit.
And I think that's one thing that's quite important. We think about picks, we think about plays, and I will just say this: MLG have played way less game in playoffs than LLS, right? So there are a lot less champions that they've had to pick up. They've only played 6 champions in total, and most of the players have played champions more than once. So there's picks that we maybe haven't even seen that they've got on the roster that are ready to be pulled out. Right there, though, the Ornery picked up a very standard top laner, very good for this comp. It gives him a lot of team fight, gives him a lot of late game scaling. The Amumu being locked in, though, not what I was going to be expecting to kick it all off, but it feels like LLS are going for a bit more team fight, and I like to see it. But the Ivan going to come through. The Ivan, in my opinion, was a pretty nice pick for them. It goes very well with the flow of their team. They like the early game, they like the aggression. Ivan does it really well.
Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about is Lightside. Completely different draft to whatever me and J Real were expecting, because we're thinking maybe something like a Z in the mid lane, maybe something really aggressive. Instead, actually going for more of a defensive way, and as well picking up the mid laner of the Aurelion Soul could be a great opportunity. And playing this front to back fight in the late game, Lightside are going to be so scary. So we're going to have to see what MIG are going to counteract the mid with. Could go for their own AP carry. They will be picking up the Cassiopeia, meaning that the dashing around from Rakan could be quite hard to do. And when I see the side of Lightside, trying to find that engage is going to be quite difficult, because when Rakan goes in, it's been very hard for him to get out.
Yeah, and they have a mixture, right? I do like the comps. I actually like both comps here, right? I think they both have agency. They both have ways to play. Obviously, we've seen a lot of Aurelion Soul in general throughout the playoffs. Painful has indeed played it as well themselves, so it's not something they're new to. They played Desire, they played the Ivan. These are all picks they're very comfortable with, very strong with. But on the side of MRG, very classic game plan, whereas LLS kind of switching up to maybe a little bit of a newer one. As you said, I was expecting maybe a bit more early game. We're not going to see that too much, but I like it. I like that they have some security, as if they do go to the mid, if they do go to the late, if they don't manage to just smash MRG off the back, then they are going to be capable to stand up in those fights. Now, obviously, when we get to those fights, though, how are they going to play out, right? A lot of kiting out the side of LLS, a lot of engage from MRG. Which side do you prefer? Do you like being the aggressor? Do you like being the return? Reactive, proactive? What's your stance?
Well, for me personally, I've always enjoyed being the more proactive team, because you can always decide this is time to go because I get to engage. However, for the side of Lightside, they still have plenty of opportunities to try and defend against this, especially this Aurelion Soul. In that late game, is going to be shredding through anyone who dares to try and get on top of him. Of course, does have the big ultimate. It's able to slow down, stun up everyone. If I have to say, I kind of enjoyed Lightside's comp overall more when we get to this late game.
So I'm torn between two sides, right? I think that yes, Aurelion Soul, amazing in the late game, and obviously Zaya, we don't need to talk too much about it. We've all seen Zaya before, very strong too. My only take is that Cassiopeia an absolute machine at putting out damage. So is their bot lane. It just feels a little bit like they've got a lot of pieces that could work, plus they have the chances to catch people out, right? Aurelion Sol, we talk about how far away Aurelion Sol can be and damage you and cause you big problems, but they have answers to that. They have all. They can just send that one straight in, and the Aphelios, right, if he gets onto the right gun, could also fire off shots from a pretty good range. So I do think there are tools to counteract the Aurelion Sol, and the big question for me is, can they get to the big scary dragon, or is he going to be kind of putting out some smoke, not too much fire?
And I think you made an amazing point of actually the mid game where I would have to say that Monster Rugby Gaming are going to be the stronger team because you talked about that snapping gauge. They won't have the damage on the side of Lightside to try and peel this away. So we're going to have to see if Lightside are able to get to this late game.
Indeed, we are. But we have a while before we get there, right? Late game doesn't really kick in till like 25, 30 minutes. So a little bit of time before we get there. And I guess we can talk about this. Oh, shout out production, by the way. I love this.
Really
NLC
proud of you
in the
guys. Good
background.
job.
Feels like home, you know? I like this. This is nice. This is a nice riff. Also, I wish we got to see the riff from this angle a bit more. But either way, we're going to go back and Emp there, playing on that Ivan. I want to see some proactive ganks. But what I want to ask you, Zath, where are we expecting the ganks to go? Obviously, we talked about top lane being maybe a little bit of an island. But mid, bot lane, where are you kind of feeling?
Well, I'm most likely going to be looking towards his bot side, especially because Rakan and Dredge going up against each other. Some very good engaged tools, especially with the Ghost up and available for secure, can actually start running people down. So I'd love for Rel and even EMP to try and counteract that. Mid lane could be another decent option, as there is going to be a slowdown from Influentic. Paper as well, being able to find a few ways to escape. It's just going to be so hard to really do that, to be honest. So it's all going to be about bot lane and seeing if the side of MRG are able to find that lead when they have something like the Rel and Thresh that can combo so well if any of these hooks land.
And one thing I'm also looking for a lot, right? And I don't know if we'll see it, but in the last series, Influentic played the Aurelion Sol, and roaming was the way to play, especially in game one. Was able to roam around the map, was able to give a lot of agency to the bot lane. So I'm thinking, is there a world where maybe Emp goes, okay, look, pre the early levels, pre-6, pre those kind of things, we go a lot for the mid. As right now, though, hold the phone. Painful is living up to the name, dishing out damage on Influentic.
Did you see that skill diff? I think he pressed W, looked him straight into the face, and his health bar was almost gone. But a really good trade coming out from Paper will have priority in this early lane. And you were talking about when he's able to try and find those roams to the bot lane. Around this level 6 mark is going to be very useful, especially with Zion and Khan, who can just find that instant engage. There are definitely possibilities for Lightside to try and look for Psyche in his bot side, even with their mid laner.
Yeah, and right now, though, we are seeing Shakur, you know, it's Aphelios, right? He's got the push. He's going to force back Nidget. But we do have the Ivan starting to lurk around the bot side. So I'm interested to see where he goes. Obviously, he started the camps up top, gone down. So expecting the full camp clear. I wonder if he goes for a gank, though, midway through. As on the flip side, Nord path down to bot lane. So we're expecting a lot of pressure from MRG there.
Yeah, it's looking like both teams are going to go in for a 6 camp clears, trying to farm up as fast as possible and maybe look for a gank for the bot lane as well. But one thing that you can actually have as Ivan is the amount of opportunities you have to gank in this early game. Because of course, with these jungle camps, all you have to do is say, hey, I'm going to take this in a few minutes and then go try and find a gank, then come back to finish off the rest of your farm. That still does give an opportunity for someone like Real to go into the enemy jungle, try and steal away these caps, as you can see him doing here.
On cue, on time. Oh, and we're going to see the root miss. So doesn't get the jump, doesn't get the camp, and Nord's going to take that one away. And now looking for the mid lane as well. We talked about early pressure. We talked about getting strong in the mid game. I do want to get into the mid lane matchup in a sec, though, because I won't lie to you, I don't see these two champions that often. What are we kind of, in terms of tempo, who should win?
Well, from tempo, it's most likely going to go in the favour of Painful in the mid lane, but we need to wait.
Oh, hold the phone, hold the phone. Here we go. We're actually going to find out. It is going to be Painful that picks it up early on, and Cass taking them low, but not going to be able to drop them. And now in this jungle, we are seeing a bit of a scrap between the two junglers here. I think realistically, no one is dying here. It's more about who can secure the crab. And realistically, I think Nord should be able to fight Emp off it, but he gets it. He gets the proc and then can steal that one away. And now the fight continues. No mid laners so far, although Influentic will be the first one back. But Emp, he's not taking any damage, man. Trigger Seed, just too much of a big shield. And Rel just doesn't have the damage.
It feels like supportive combat as both of these champions just don't have the damage to kill each other. However, overall, really well played from the side of Lightside. Able to find that kill in the mid lane for Painful, and we talked about who's going to win that. I thought that's an easy way to show you, as the first kill going over to mid does mean they will have priority for most of this early game, especially with the reset coming in pretty soon for himself. Should get pretty close to that lost chapter.
Ooh, but this roam into the top side, Emp is there. Emp will spot them out, so they know about this, but that might not stop them, because so far we haven't seen any roam from Painful, but I think it has actually deterred them enough to walk away. And what I'm hearing so far is that at all points in the game, the Star Snake is better than the Land Snake.
That's definitely a way that you can take a look at it. I haven't thought about it that way, but we can see if the Land Snake is a little bit better, as we can see just the amazing outplay coming out from the Aurelion Soul, able to just hit that W, but no, being able to have the flash forward coming out from Influentic, just one auto attack away from killing Painful, but a health pot keeping him just above the death threshold. So that will be first kill, and it seems like you are correct that the Land Snake not as useful.
Yeah. Now, shout out to anyone in the chat who's going to get mad about that. And yes, I know that Cassiopeia isn't a snake; they're a gorgon or something like that. You know, they're like a Medusa-esque. Yeah. So obviously she's kind of similar to Medusa, right? In the sense of like she's not. Well, maybe she is fully snake actually. Maybe I need to reread the lore. But I thought she was more like a gorgon, which is like obviously the human snake thing. And then obviously Aurelion Soul. Whether you clarify dragons as star snakes or not is also up to you. But in terms of the easy location, the easy equality, you know, that's what we're going to leave out here for now. But I want to say shout out to the Aurelion Soul though, because singularity usage there, obviously the black hole keeping it a bit difficult for Influencer to get into range. Obviously Cassiopeia not the greatest in terms of long range, but Breath of Light is such a strong ability. Like obviously late game we're going to know about it going long range, but it does feel like if this Aurelion Soul does continue this rampaging, well, what's the answer to stop it?
Well, the best way to really stop it is by trying to hit it at its source, because of course Aurelion Soul is going to be incredible if you are going to be at its Fire's Breath, but if you CC it, Fire Breath is fine and going to be taken out, and the damage is going to drop off significantly. And when you have stuff like the Ornhorn with a Thresh that can find a hook afterwards, definitely beneficial ways of trying to take it out. However, does still have the jungler of the person that's able to give him a shield. Is going to make it a very hard time for them to actually try and burst him out. Do you ever have that times on cast when you're like, I know that champion, the one with the tree thing? And
yeah, I will say it happens to me more with items. Like items, sometimes it's just like, especially with new items, right? Like, do you call it Ninja Tabby or do you call it Steel Caps? Steel plated boots. That's what I'm saying. It kind of has to be Ninja Tabby. Like the real ones know, the new ones maybe go look up some old league items, because I don't know, name wise I just think it sounds a little better. But Riot decided to change it. They changed it for some reasons, I guess, maybe to keep it more consistent, right? So the boots will sound the same, rather than having like some with weird names, some with normal names. But either way, we're not going to see too many boots because Cassiopeia doesn't buy them. So there you go. You know, if you want 6 items without having to sell boots, play Cassiopeia.
I was about to say, I've tried it a few times with a couple other champions. It will not be working out, but a good trade in the bot lane does allow Lightside to push this out, able to get a good ward into the enemy jungle, will spot out where the rail is, and the more vision you have on the enemy jungle, the easier it is going to be scaling up. And the way that Lightside have been playing, they're going to be very happy with how they're scaling.
Now, I want to touch on this early game that we talked about, right? We talked about how Lundqvist, that's what we expect from them. We expect early game. They drafted a little bit later. Emp, though, should be proactive. So far, not seen too much action on the map, and neither has Nord, to be fair to them. It has been pretty quiet from the jungle's front. We are seeing them start to rotate down to the bot side, though. Emp is on a ward, so MRG should be pretty safe. But on the top side, they did pick up the Renekton, which obviously can be locked in to give you a lot of priority early. But do you feel like in this case it's just for stability, or do we maybe see actually Renekton roaming across the map for early plays? How do you kind of see that one becoming a maximum opportunity?
Well, I believe they're booting in the top lane on the Renekton is more just for safety, more for stability. Just because they can have counterpick in one of these other lanes, for example in the mid lane, where Painful was able to pick up the Aurelion Soul, and you can see the differential it has made. Because with the Ornn in top lane actually trying to counteract it, you can just see here, Bucci doesn't really ever have the damage to try and kill him. especially when you get yourself the Thornmail on Kaggle, where just take a look, you just can't do anything. Just the stat stick is just too much, so he just kind of has to contest this wave as much as possible. But with Emp coming up, there is maybe a possibility. Wave is pushing away from Kaggle.
Roam from Painful as well. They are looking to try and set this one up, and I like this. I like using the Renekton as a setup bot to feed this Aurelion Soul, and here we go. Singularity down. There is the Breath of Light, and goodbye. Now it is going to go to Bucci, who picks up that kill, so maybe not the perfect play, but still getting gold, getting now some platings as well, and that is going to stack up Renekton pretty nicely. And I was talking about Renekton a little bit, because I've seen him quite often recently, and just really good late game team fight AoE, right? And if Bucci, the only thing he does is lock up the Cassiopeia or lock up the or Shakur on the Aphelios, then job well done. And getting him ahead is going to allow that to prosper.
I would actually love to see maybe a few flanks in the late game coming out from Bucci, being able to try and lock up one of the champions just a little bit easier on the enemy team. So we can see how Lightside can play these team fights. You can have EMP able to hit a route onto one of the players, so Bucci jumps straight back in, and then you have something like Dr. Chaos or Painful to try and follow up with more CC. That's a great way that they can try and take out one of the carries for MRG. Because remember, all of their damage is focused onto this AD carrier mid lane. If you get those two behind, where's the damage really going to be coming from?
And if you're MRG, hopefully your damage comes out from Influentic or Shakur, because realistically that is where you need it. And from LLS, obviously Painful, the one that is really going to be dishing it out. But Ninja also proposes quite a little bit of a difficult task, because MRG, as we talked about, are the ones with more the aggressing tools necessarily than the disengage. Yes, they could disengage too, because obviously Thresh and Ornn can use theirs a little bit defensively. But all in all, I do feel like with Desire in hand, oh man, Emp taking this buff just so easily away from Nord, and now the roam onto Nord. Good flash will get him away, but how far away? Because here comes the Aurelion Soul. Good Lantern from Muzi will get them out, and we're already starting to see how problematic Painful can be on these roams. Hopefully we're going to see that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, Influentic is only able to push out the wave, but how fast that fight actually turned out, not being able to pick up any tower plates on the back of this, so good play coming out from Lightside, especially taking away the flash from Nord, means that he can't find those snapping gauges, especially when his level 6 has just come up.
Level 6 is coming up. That's bot lane still consistently being pushed in, by the way. Like a small lead has been accumulated is definitely the word I was looking for there. Brain and English apparently not going hand in hand today. But right now, it is just accumulated from the fact that Shakur is able to push in Nidget, right? And push in Dr. Chaos, and they can't really challenge too much. Obviously, as we said, roaming from Aurelion Soul, definitely going to be on tabs for things that could change this lane a lot. But one thing I also have tabs on is that Drake, right? So far, we've got one picked up from MRG. We talked about how MRG likes a good team fight. Drakes do start to present you with that opportunity, and so do Heralds, which they are going to start picking up now.
Yeah, if they're able to pick up this Rift Herald, I'd love for it to get placed towards this mid lane. Try and make sure that Influentic has a little bit of a better time in this lane. You can just see how much trouble as Unleashed Teleports have come through. When we talk about plays getting made, this is going to be around about the time where they will be starting to try and find those big plays, especially with Dragons spawning the next 1 minute 30, that I do believe that MRG should play for.
And are you a big take mid tower first kind of believer? Are you in the camp of mid tower tier 1 down first, or are you saying actually, you know what, Aphelios is already starting to build a bit of a lead, maybe you go drop that Herald down bot lane?
Well, both opportunities are actually very good for them, but I would actually enjoy it getting placed into this mid lane when the next dragon is going to be up and available. Just that you can have a little bit of a split map where Lightside have to decide, do we want to go try and contest this Drake and lose a bit of our mid lane tower and a few tower plates, or instead try and take it out? But it's taking a look like both teams are going to be trying to contest for this dragon. Everybody's trying to clear out vision as much as possible. Teleport getting used by Influentic in the mid lane. However, the reset coming out from Nord does mean that Lightside have full control over this bot side river for the next dragon.
Ooh, Bucci just creeping around that top side jungle. They have certain wards, they have some vision. They have a lot of vision around this dragon as well. I will say that is an impressive number of wards coming out from LLS. They really want to make sure that they know what is going on, and they will have full vision of that one. I'm interested to see if Nord drops this Herald maybe in mid, maybe in bot, to kind of drive away some attention, because LLS are very much set up, as you said, for this dragon. They are looking to get control. They've already sent their jungle and support into the river, and look, the wave clear from Painful is going to set him up really nicely to walk down first too.
Yeah, and because of the wave clear coming out, it does allow Lightside to start off this dragon without any real contest. Rowan Necton coming in without having to use TP. Recess coming out from Hagar. And because of the priority in both bot and mid lane now, it will allow the dragon to just go freely over to Lightside.
And it paints a little bit of worry for me in this game. Because if we are starting to see LLS just take objectives, take control, MRG not really able to stand up, as we see Emp there just going into the jungle with the bot lane, forces back Nord, and then just smites away the blue buff, it presents a little bit of an opportunity where this Aurelion Soul is just going to have more and more space, more and more scaling, and we've already decided that realistically, he is going to be the most dangerous person in the game.
And it's going to be really difficult from the side of MRG to really contest this. However, the game is still super close, only having around about a 500 gold lead on the side of Lightside. Both teams being a lot closer than what we were really seeing in the last time. Spot lane Lightside looking a bit dangerous, and it's so scary to play against the Zyra Khan, especially when both ultimates are available against the Felios. They can just get snapped up and can just get taken out in the blink of an eye.
Now, we're not from the UK. We don't have miniguns. But we do have a Felios, and there are many guns that he possesses. Obviously, red-white, probably the most classic, the standard, the bread and butter of team fighting. But with the extended range of the Aurelion Soul and the fact that Zyra's maybe a little bit closer range, is there maybe a different concoction of guns that we might be seeing out here, or is red-white just always the best?
I would still say the red-white will be the best. However, white-green could also be a little bit of an easier option. You talked about range. It does give Aphelios a little bit more range against the enemy team, where he can maybe be outside of Painful Dragon's Breath, where the damage truly will be coming from. However, as this game is slowly progressing, everybody's starting to get towards that first item. Both mid laners have completed it as well, got the Lost Chapter Influentic, so it's got a little bit more push pressure in the mid lane. Rift Herald finally getting dropped as well, just before the tower plates are going to fall.
A bit of a fight in the top side. Kaga having to walk away, obviously very tanky, not going to go down or anywhere near us. There was potentially a fight in the mid river there. I think it was on to Dr. Chaos, who I believe managed to jump over the wall. But yeah, Herald used mid, will get a bit of gold over to the Cassion. I believe they did it just in time, as 14 minutes has just struck the clock. Dr. Chaos, they're trying to get the knock onto Nord, but they will be able to walk away. And it feels like MRG are definitely keeping themselves in it, but they maybe need to go a little bit one step further, as we are now finding a pick there. Dr. Chaos going to be able to jump away, though. Nidget in the right vicinity to get them out, and the Aphelios could cause problem. Wait. We need a replay on that one. We need a replay on that one. Solo Bolo in the top lane. Bucci just killed Kaga. News in here first.
You said that he was too tanky. Apparently not, as we do see EMP towards his bot side. It's just there to defend his team, but we can just see how much damage the Secure can pump out when he does have the correct balance, because he can just go in, use the lantern out, and great plays coming out.
Ooh, and here comes TPs. Oh my days, it is just a rough time for the bot lane. Bishop trying to play out of it. Already picked up one. Can they find another? Dr. Chaos is really low. If they can get 2 kills onto the Aphelios, it would be massive, but it's not going to happen. Voice of Light is just too much. The breath just fire on to the side of MRG, and here come the knockouts. Dr. Chaos almost getting caught up, but Influenting on the backside of this fight has managed to sneak in, managed to pick up 1 kill, and now in a strong position, backed up by the team, could potentially turn this one around. It's a 2-for-1 so far. And LLS, they went for a proactive play, but it has not worked out for them, and now it might be getting even worse. Bucci dragged back, gonna get a bit of damage down though, and MRG don't want to be too close to the croc. They're now stepping back. They don't want to get too close. Nord with the stun as Bucci jumping in, looks for it, but the knockup keeps him there, but he gets the kill still. Cassio with not enough damage to Renekton, the superior reptile, takes that one, and the last pick up from Painful. It looked a little bit promising for the side of MRG, but it's crushed down by LLS.
LLS coming in with a huge plan. This is on the solo laners, as Bucci's able to find that re-engage, able to find the healing just in the nick of time, so Influentic gets taken out. The amount of damage Painful is able to crop out, and because of this, they are able to get themselves 3 kills on the back of it, able to get themselves a tower in the bot lane, as EMP is able to defend it. We could just see exactly what happened. Oh, this is the top lane fight. I'm
yeah, we're going
interested
back
to see
a few replays.
there. So we see a good engage coming out from Bucci. Bellows Breath does actually miss out, and then because he doesn't have anything up except for the Ornn ultimate, just isn't enough. Too little, too late. So we can finally see the main action of this bot lane fight. So of course, first engage comes out, teleport from Painful, which is going to be the most important part, and then Jakor flashing into the backline, able to pick up one, but from here, the rest of the side of MRG is just so far away that they're just trying to make as much space as possible, but Shakur all on his own, not able to do much as we get straight back in to live.
Yeah, straight back in, and just, things aren't looking too good for MRG, to put it lightly. I think that they haven't managed to get anyone online just yet, and the fact that Painful is 4-0 right now, a little bit scary. 2 items on the Renekton. Talk about items though, no Rower to the Aurelion Soul. I thought that would have been the early pickup and the increase of scaling, but going for maybe a little bit of a faster build.
Yeah, going for the slow down from the Rhyolite Crystal Scepter, mean that the enemy team is going to have a lot more trouble trying to walk straight into him because, of course, you know, the slows coming out from that. As well, the second Drake will get picked up from the side of Lightside, getting themselves that Ocean. On the opposite side, MRG were maybe thinking of signing up the Rift Herald. However, because it is going to be Rel trying to do it solo, not going to be able to do it fast enough, so it does have to disengage.
And MRG trying to take some space around this mid lane. I think if they can start to gain a bit of control around some objectives, try and get some picks onto maybe Painful, onto Nidget, maybe even onto Emp as well, they can start to gain a bit more control of the map. But so far, when it's come to the 5v5 setup, it feels like LLS are just too far ahead at the moment, because we're now seeing MRG making a bit of space in mid lane, trying to keep sure that this tower doesn't go down. But just look at the side lanes, man. How are they going to stop Bucci? Because right now, this Renekton has been pushed very far ahead.
Yeah, but Renekton just having such a big lead that Kaga can't really do much against him. If he ever steps up too far, we saw it once and we're going to see it again, especially the Black Cleaver after Painful.
Ooh, but things we haven't seen before though. Painful in a bit of trouble here. Magnustorm going to come out, will use the ultimate to buy a bit of time, gets the slow and flashes away. Beautiful play coming out from the mid laner of LLS to get out once more, and Falling Star coming in clutch there. Big slow.
At least the tower is going to get taken out from the side of MRG, so going to be happy to at least get something back on top of that. So even though they weren't able to pick up the kill, are going to be at least satisfied with getting something, as this game is really feeling like it's getting away from MRG. They do have good scaling. Of course, Ornn items will be coming through very shortly, only one level away from that. But take a look, mid lane tower's falling.
The reaction has a reaction, and LLS tried to use the action of MRG going top to go mid, but now here comes MRG mounting their attack, looking for the Ornn Horn, but charmed up, wasn't able to use it, and now LLS back on the map, all 5 members ready to go, and it just means MRG have to walk away.
As LLS, we have to give them props for how different their team has really looked compared to what they've been showing before, because before this, it was all this early game focus. It was all about trying to outplay them before they get to late game, but now instead they focus more around this late game style and they feel like a completely different team.
Now, we can't write anyone out, okay? The game isn't over until you gain that extra 50 gold, which is much needed from the Nexus. But they do have to start to change the tempo, right? They do have to start finding picks. They do have to start getting kills onto Painful. They have to start getting kills onto Nidget to slow down this scaling, and to be honest, even potentially Bucci, because realistically, Shakur and Influentic, they're not in a position to get into big fights. But if they find some 5 versus 3s, some 4 versus 2, some really outnumbering situations, then MRG definitely can bring themselves back. But so far, it feels like they're just slowly draining out of the map, because look at LLS. They're just setting up really nicely on this objective, and talking about objectives, Baron is not one that is going to take long to take down for this team.
Yeah, for either team, they're able to get that ace or even get the jungler down. There's a very good chance of them trying to burst this out. As both teams could just see how much wave clear that they do have, being able to protect any tower they do want. And for MYG to really find these picks, they need to start playing more collectively as a team. You can see they're starting to group up, starting to try and look for something, but because of the Ornn ultimate being down, finding that engage tool is just going to be so much more difficult. So even though you do have a Thresh in your team that is able to find those hooks, if you don't have the space and the warding for him, at this sort of level of play, it's so difficult to try and find it.
And talking about burst, can really come out quickly from LLS, right? The Renekton, the Aurelion Soul, that's a lot to go. And I was thinking, are they capable of doing enough damage to kill this Aurelion Soul, right? Can they lock him up and burst him quick enough? Because obviously, both their carries, both the Cassiopeia, both the Belios, they're good in consistent damage, but not necessarily the burst damage. And I'm thinking, unless you throw all 5 members onto this Aurelion Soul, how do you make sure he stays gone?
Yeah, you're completely correct about that statement of everything and the kitchen sink has to get thrown at Painful, otherwise he will not be getting taken out. And if they do use everything onto Painful, that allows a great opportunity for Bucci to be in this backline, to be just such a big threat. However, we're harping on so much about how MRG are in a worse position, but still, 2.5 items onto their mid laner of the Cassiopeia, 2.5 items as well onto this Avelio. So if the fight does go their way, if they're able to create just enough space for their team, there's definitely an opportunity to do this, because they're really the only team with a main tank, especially if the Rel and the Ornn paired together. They're going to be a lot more tanky than the side of Lightside. If they do play a front-to-back fight, there's an opportunity that they have enough tankiness as a team where they can just be able to stop Midget and Painful from dealing enough damage.
Ooh, maybe going to be engaged here. Nord going to go straight aggressive, and they've managed to catch Bucci, but have they caught themselves? Because it's the re-engage, and they are starting to drop like flies. MRG are falling to pieces, and here comes the Ornn to make by some more time, but now in goes the Aurelion Soul. The knock-up onto 3, coming up from Dr. Chaos. The pullback, not enough damage, but Influencing will finally go down to Emp, and the other 2 walking away. Low HP, no Shakur, no Influencing, no damage from MRG. That is going to be a Baron.
Dr. Chaos sowing the seeds for its team as he was able to find a 3-man stun at the front of that, and then the re-engage from the rest of his team, able to pick up 3 members of the side of MRG. And you talked about the Baron only at 6k HP, soon enough to be taken out. All MRG can do is try to maybe contest this dragon, but Painful's there, and you do not want to walk into that breath. Kagar, man, there's not much you can do.
Tank or not, the fire burns continually, and when it starts to burn, it starts to spread.
Talking about spreading, the 3rd dragon, maybe MRG want to try and contest this, however they just don't have the damage to do so, don't even have the members nearby. So after taking the Baron, will be able to pick up their 3rd Drake of the game.
Oh, steal. Nord jumping in, tries to get into this pit. Will they have the damage? Will they get the steal? They're not going to, and now they could be in trouble. But actually, it's going to be LLS that are walking away from this, and they've left their mid laner in the pit. Painful is going to go down, and the shutdown over to Shakur.
They're going to be really happy to be able to pick up that shutdown. Is this going to mean that the Baron push is going to be reduced by quite a bit, because when you have the Aurelion Soul to be able to push out your waves and be a side lane threat gone, it's going to stop a lot of damage.
Muzi? Okay, I thought Muzi was for sure going in there, but I feel like this is a moment where MRG, you know, if we were in like old times, they would have written about a dangerous monster that can only be beaten by the greatest of hunters, and they finally did it. Like, they finally killed the dragon. The dragon can die. They know this now, and maybe this gives them some proactive plays that can allow them to take this game a little bit faster, a little bit different. But right now, it does feel like MRG are quite content with just scaling up there. They're sending Influentic up to the top side to get those items, and obviously 6 items is normally better than 5, so maybe there is an angle where MRG could outscale.
Yeah, but they need to get to those 3 items when truly the main characters of Influentic and Secure are going to be able to be online. But do they have enough time? Ready all out to tower, taking out Baron, still in their hands, and only 3 minutes until the next dragon. It's so difficult to have that time to scale up. And finally are able to defend this mid lane tower, though Lightside will most likely be resetting pretty soon, as even though MRG are behind, they're still in an okay position, only being down around about 4k gold at 25 minutes.
And we do say time, like if we look at it realistically, okay, 3 dragons over to LLS, right? They are looking pretty strong on that front, but it's another 3 minutes until we get the next one. Although hold that thought, because we're going to have a little look at that last team fight.
Yeah, just take a look at this last team fight. Just look at that Rakan engage, and then on top of that, Dr. Chaos and Birchie right in the backline, able to kill the AD carry, and then finally getting the stun up. Flash out from Influentic does get him a little bit safe, but Bucci getting himself out, and then another great engage followed by the Featherstorm, and that's going to take out Influentic right at the end. And that is just a masterclass of how to engage on the support.
No, Dr. Chaos just... If we had maybe Dunk Master Darius, I would say that would have been a layup, because genuinely just sets them on a plate. That's an easy meal for LLS to take down. And yeah, going back to this, you talk about time, right? We got 3 minutes until the next Drake, 2.5 minutes until the next Drake. that could be sole point for LLS. If MRG can stall out a bit more time, we'll be getting to that 30-35 minute mark, and surely by then most people will be getting to their stronger end of their power, right? Because 3 items already completed onto Shakur, right? We have 2.5 onto Influentic. So realistically, those should be finished off, and the team fights are going to start raining in. Now, this Felios, right? Very far ahead at this moment, right? 3 items complete. The only other person that has that is now the Iranian Soul and the Renekton. Are we getting the combat sets? Are we getting to that point where we can talk about, okay, this fight could be close if played a certain way, or are we still a little bit too worried about Painful's influences?
I still think we're a little bit too concerned as Nord is going to actually get engaged on here, does have himself a way to get out, so it's going to be safe from that. But to quickly harp on your point, I still think Painful is going to be just a sore spot for MIG to try and deal with, especially because 3 items complete very close to that level 16 mark, something that we haven't talked about, which is going to be another huge power spike coming out from him, going to be able to rain down so much damage on the full team compared to the side of MIG, where Secure, yes, does have the 3 items, but opted in to that Bloodthirst to make him a little bit more survivability, but that isn't the damage they truly need on the side of MIG when you are playing only 2 main damage source comp.
Yeah, Bucci already level 17. Almost full levels. 2 levels up on Kaga as well. Has really kept himself ahead. We talk about Renekton having that early game lead, having that early game threat. Well, Bucci just said, I'm going to stay ahead all game. I'm always going to be in early game. I'm never leaving until like 40 minutes when everyone's just level 18 and full build. But next Dragon, 40 seconds. We are starting to see MRG set up for this. Obviously, in the top side, Kaga has decided to stay away. I think if they can keep Bucci out of the fight, maybe this is the play. Maybe go 4v4 rather than 5v5. But you are then losing the Ornhorn. Is it playable, though, for MRG?
I think they have to try and go for this, because you give this up, it's a whole entire Ocean Soul over to the side of Lightside, and with how tanky their team is already, it's going to make it so much harder, especially when you want to play these quite slowly. But MRG do need to be careful, have no vision over this. Resets coming down from Kega, most likely going to teleport in, but with only 10 seconds left, it's now or never from the side of MRG.
Do or die. Stay on the land, or will you fly? We'll find out quickly. But there's the knock-up. They're in the air once more. They're going to start backing away once again. But in goes Bucci. Muzi is gone. The Ornhorn coming through. But there is the knock-up from the Iranian Soul. The star is down. And look at the breath of light just disintegrating anyone that it touches. Goodbye to the MRG team. Implementing the last one alive. Bucci is chasing them down. Crocodile versus Snake. But it's now a dragon in the mixer as well. Implementing with the shield. Gonna stay alive a little bit longer, even with the petrifying gaze, but it does not matter. Ace, they rode straight to the base, and I think this could be game 1 for LLS.
I don't think it's game 1 just yet, as there's only 5 seconds before the support of Musi's up, 15 seconds before the jungle and the AD carries. There is a possibility to try and defend this, so instead LLS will be trying to give up the inhibitor in the mid lane, instead trying for this Dragon. I was love Painful for not actually trying to take this, because this will give extra gold into the pocket of MRG, but thinking that they are just so far ahead, are actually going to take it instead.
Yeah, I think Dragon, get Salt, get Baron, end game. I don't think there's going to be too much in terms of gained experience from those super minions. I definitely get your point, but I think they can close it out in one more team fight. LLS have them on the ropes, but can MRG put on their best Muhammad Ali impression? Can they dodge, duck them punches, or are they going to get clocked straight out in the next fight? We'll find out soon. Get the bell ready, because round 2 is up. Ding, ding, ding. Baron is the setting, and we're about to see another big fight.
We saw how hard it was for MRG to play that. Now Ocean Soul is going to be onto the side of LLS, so it's going to be even harder with Baron started up.
Yeah, so they're going to cause problems getting into the river. But look, they just caught out once again. Muzi, you can't run away from the dragon, okay? Painful is there. He's lurking. He's too fast because he can fly. And look at them. They're just taking space. They're forcing away MRG. They're not allowing them to get anywhere near. If Nord could jump in and steal, maybe it saves the game a little bit longer, but there is no opportunity. There is no chance. And it feels like this is the end of the game. It feels like LLS are now going to run this one down and end. But actually, maybe they have other ideas, because Painful is still in the top side.
It's a whimpering light left for MRG. Influentic and Secure, their main carries are still up and available. Do have ways to try and clear this wave, especially with the blue gun. Once Secure is able to clear this quite effectively, meaning they have a little bit more life left in them. But Bucci on this side lane and Painful in the top lane is going to be much longer before these inhibitors are going to fall.
But I think they are assured destruction. Right, I think that it's destined death for them, as we are seeing the push in the top, we're seeing the push in the bot, and realistically, you have to send someone to deal with Bucci, but it may even be two that you need to send, and the same can be said for Painful. So what are you going to do? Leave your mid lane open? Well, then your two towers defending the Nexus can get destroyed, and also LLS could also rotate their members around the map. They're not stuck in this 1-3-1, but they can just keep the pressure on. They can just force MRG back into their base and just allow for their split push to just keep further and further going. As Influentic now going to step forward, but look who is there. It is the rest of the LLS team. They're going to step forward, but a good stun, the good freeze will hold back the recon, but only for so long. Influentic just doesn't have the damage, needs to try and get out of the situation. The 4 versus 5 though, maybe Bucci has got a little bit too far forward. Stasis going to buy some more time, but enough for the Dragon. Here they come, the Dragon is burning them alive. 1 down, 2 down, under the tower, they cower, but they don't have the power to bring this one back. They are going to get shut down, the towers will be broken, and that is going to be the first game secured. Unless Shakur can turn this one around, no way, says Painful. A little bit more fire, no more desire, and they end this game. Dramatic fashion right now. They came back off of an 0-3, and they're saying, look, you can do it to us, we can do it better.
Lightside feel like a completely different team today, being able to pick up stuff like that Aurelion Soul in the mid lane, being able to not even just win but dominate that first game, as it felt like Munster Rugby Gaming, even though they did have opportunities, did feel like they really took it, which does give a very good point for Lightside, especially with this being game 1. Munster Rugby Gaming have to change quite a few things soon, otherwise it's not looking good for them.
And I think the biggest change is just tempo, right? I think that we talked about LLS having really good early game, having a lot of prowess, being able to kind of call the shots, pull the punches, and then do what they want. And in the first series, MRG just weathering the storm, building themselves up, becoming proactive and getting it done. But this time around, it was just an early game setup. It played out really well for them in the mid lane. And then when Painful was ahead, there wasn't really an answer that MRG could produce because their carries were never going to outscale the other carries. And they just had to fall behind. And we look at the Renekton, Bucci. That's my standout in this game. I know that Painful just did all that dragon stuff. He did all the work. He did the fire. Great. But the amount of pressure that Bucci was able to put onto their backline to force them away, to not allow them any time to actually do damage, was insane. This Renekton, a really strong pick. I would be surprised if it's not banned next time. But we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, game 2 is going to come underway. Can MRG take a stand, or is LLS just going to keep rolling? we are back, ready for game 2, and as kind of maybe loosely alluded to, maybe we said it a little bit more than that, changes need to happen from MRG.
Yep, changes are the way to go, and I think that was a champion that we could both agree was a bit strong in that last game, and that will be the Aurelion Sol. Both teams, both mid laners, respectively, of Influentic and Painful, can play the champion. Please, if you don't first pick it, ban that champion away, because I feel like it's going to be a crucial part for both of these teams with how they kind of want to play. Because we saw in the early game, remember that Breath is meant to get stronger and stronger the later the game goes, was against the Cassiopeia at level 1, was able to win that fight out, because that one fight, able to get the first kill and snowball. Next thing you know, the side of LLS were able just to run away with the game.
And for me, it's not even just the Breath of Light, right? It's also the fact that in the fights, we saw the falling star come down. It slows the enemy team. It knocks up in the center. Like, there's just so much teamfight utility that stops people getting close to Aurelion Sol. And I feel like Aurelion Sol, in my opinion, was the big scary carry that they had to contend with. But the person I think really stood out, and the one that was really causing the most problems for the side of MRG, is that Renekton, right? The Renekton was just everywhere. He was every single fight in their face, causing their carries problems. A lot of the times we saw the Aphelios and the Cassiopeia, they're having to run away. And if you're running away from the Renekton, who's already up in your face, then you're not even going to think about this Aurelion Sol, who is just melting everyone around you. The carries, the tanks, no one could stand up to this damage, and it was just too much to handle. And it all started from the early game, right? When we talk about things that need to change, things that need to go, I don't know if necessarily the picks were like the be-all and end-all of this game, but the tempo the game was played at felt like it just very much fitted LLS much better.
Completely agreed with you there. And you talked about how the Crocodile on the top lane was so scary. To be honest, when it's against an Ornn, it should be completely fine. It should be neutralized. However, few misplays coming out from the top lane of Kaga does allow the opportunity for the first kill to go through. And then Lightside able to have the huge damage in the top lane. Most importantly, having the tankiness where he's just able to run into that back line, able to heal up for so much and not die, given that space for Aurelion Sol to just open up. And if the side of MRG are able to, make these side laners calm down a little bit, make sure to not give over too much in this early game, we should see a much closer game. But to be honest, I'd love MRG to maybe make a few changes on their playstyle, because that Thresh in the bot lane, much rather have a Nautilus there. There's a reason why people are picking Thresh up that much, because it's just so hard to find those engages unless you're super far ahead, and because they weren't able to find it. Even in the late game, they didn't have something like a dredge line to be able to instantly knock up this Aurelion Sol and look for those engages.
Yeah, and I do wonder what they're going to change, right? Do you ban it? Do you pick it? I think realistically, if you're not blue side, you ban the Aurelion Sol, right? Because it's going to be a problem. I do think that there are ways they could play around it, but I think that realistically, from these two teams meeting, it's been in 3 out of 4 games now in this playoffs, and it has won every single game. If that's telling you something, then you're on the same page as me. I think other picks they could maybe go for, maybe the Xerath. Maybe we see that come out of Influentic. Maybe go range with range. Try and just take him out in the early stages. Stop him from causing a problem. I know that Influentic has also played the Malzahar. So maybe another pick that they could lean to. But I do wonder if it just gets taken off the board in general. We are going to see, though, a swap of sides. MRG now going to be on the blue side. The Rumble, the LeBlanc, the classic band. Do they go for the Rakan? Do they stick with the new bands? We'll have to find out. Maybe even Aurelion Sol gets thrown. But Tristana, Rel taken out from LLS. The Rakan gonna be removed. And to be fair, it was a very good setup. It did play really well in the hands. So, you know what? Taking the Rakan away, I'm not super sad about it.
I'm going to be interested to see if MRG are going to be taking away the Aurelion Sol that we've harped on so much about, or instead, maybe picking up an AD carry. But no, disagreeing with everything we've done and actually going to picking up that Maokai. And I actually kind of enjoy this pick, because even if the Aurelion Sol is a big issue, you do also have the instant engage with the W, able to root them up and make sure that they are less of a nuisance than before. While on the opposite side, it's looking like Lightside instantly locking in the Ashe and the Renekton, realizing that because the Xayah is taken away, Kai'Sa is such short range, allows this Ashe to go a lot higher priority, even does pretty well against those Aphelios. And then of course the Renekton, with what a game Bucci had on it last time, happy to pick it up again.
And you know what? I like this. This is what we talked about, right? We talked about LLS. They've had a long time in playoffs. They've been able to play a lot of games. They've gone through trials and tribulations, and they found what is working. They're picking up new picks from the fresh lineup. They're not going back to what they played with when they first took on MRG, and I'm liking this new LLS. They're looking much stronger. The Ash pickup, I like it a lot. The slows, the ultimate, the crystal arrow can really just change a lot of fights and set up a lot of plays. But on the flip side, we are going to see that Jax. It was banned away from NRG last game. They decided, you know what, we're not going to leave that top lane open. We're going to pick it up early. We're going to give something Kaga that he can win against Bucci on. And I like that proactive decision making there, not allowing it to be banned away. The Varus being locked in. Ooh,
I really like this. J-Real, I'm a big fan of this Varus pick and champion that we haven't had the opportunity to look too much through. However, it gives you a lot of poke ability, even if it can't win the 1v1 against the Ashe. Usually, if you're able to sniper out just enough before the fight starts, is a possibility to try and do that. And getting paired up with the Jax late game, will actually be able to try and get some real huge damage out. However, Lightside trying to stop the arrow from dealing as much as it could, picking up the Braum to have that shield.
Yeah, I like the Braum, right? I think Braum Ash, very classic bot lane, goes really well. A lot of slows, a lot of slowing down in general, knock-up, stuns, all of what you could think of, pairs very nicely. Now, Medio being banned away, understandable, you know, very strong pick, is something that we have seen from Muzi before in the past, can work very well with the Varus as well, giving extended range, giving that lack of CC to the team, so it does stop Crystal Arrow being as impactful. Now though, switching on to MRG, banning away some of these junglers, right? What have we not seen from LS? We haven't seen the jungle, we haven't seen the mid lane. Okay, so we're expecting maybe some AP from one of those sources. Potentially some more engaged. I think the Sejuani definitely a pertinent part, but M has a pretty big champion pool, so I do wonder what they're going to select from that.
Taking away the Sejuani, we do know that Graves is a high priority pick coming out from Emp, of course, being the main of that, just usually in solo queues. So of course, you don't want to give someone comfortability. However, remember the Ivan of last game being super impactful, having so many shields and given the defensive capabilities for this Ashe to really pop off in these big team fights. So MRG do have a lot to think about, and they have decided to give us a little bit of a breather to think even more as, let's just say, they took a little bit too long, making sure that they're going to have to redo the bounds real quickly. Should only take a few seconds to come through though. But what do you think it's actually going to be?
I'm not sure what the bans will be, but I want to talk a little bit more about the picks, right? Because I think bans could be a lot of things, right? We maybe see some jungle bans, we maybe see some mid lane bans, maybe we see the Aurelion Soul now that Zerath is taken away because the range could be a bit of a problem. What do I expect to be picked up though? Aurelion Soul still on the board, right? Either team could lock that one in. I think that in terms of comp, maybe it fits the side of LLS a little bit more than MRG's comp, because obviously MRG already having the Jax, already having the Varus, so a bit of attention kind of needed potentially in both of those lanes. Doesn't necessarily give you the most opportunity to gank up on that mid lane, so maybe they decide to play something a little bit safer. But looking into kind of what else we could expect, I feel like the issue that we have with Lundqvist, the LLS, and why at the start of the series, we said it's so hard to predict about this team, is that there are so many options around these two players, right? We could see the Ivan, we could see the Lillian, we could see some Graves, as you said. We could even potentially see some other picks that we haven't even seen yet, because AD, tank, AP, they can really do it all. And then from that mid lane, well, whatever their jungler doesn't pick can be filled up by that mid lane, right? Do we want AD? Do we want AP? Both can be played there fine. Painful, and it gives such a breadth of opportunity, but what do I think fits best, right? So they got Renekton in the earlier stages. They also have, refresh my memory, because I feel like I'm forgetting someone at the moment. I'm forgetting who their support was. It's Braum and Ashe, right?
Yeah, correct.
So far, they've got a lot of peel. They also have some sort of engage. I think that if they want a little bit more forward momentum, that could be nice. Where do you get it from though? I'm thinking they could even go for something like a Yone, right? They could go for something aggressive.
Interesting.
Because if you then throw the AP in the jungle, maybe it all works out. But it's a tough one. Where do you see it going?
Well, quickly before saying where it's going to go, client issue, League of Legends being as rough as ever. We do actually know what the last ban is going to be, and drum roll please. It's the Aurelion Soul. Who could have guessed? Wow, good job from the side of MRG, realizing how powerful that pick is For the mid lane, because of Aurelion Sol getting taken away, I believe Young could actually be a decent opportunity. Does give them the extra damage they do seek, especially against a team where you are able to try and pick them apart a little bit, as MRG haven't been looking the strongest so far. However, I do think I agree with you mostly overall about going for a bit more range, maybe picking up something, of course, the Zerf getting banned away, even something like a Sigs, well, really anything that kind of fits that mode of I have range, I have a bit of damage to support this Ashe to try and find these picks.
Yeah, and Ziggs, so far we haven't actually seen it played by Painful. We haven't seen it played by Influentic, but again, like we said, it's a sentiment of it's playoffs. They've only played 6 games. We've not necessarily seen what's in the wheelhouse. We haven't seen the Cassiopeia before last game. So there definitely are going to be picks that could come out. Even things like the Izzy, right? Maybe that could be locked in. It gives you a bit of range, gives you a bit of pokeability. On the flip side though, if we look at it right, they need a support. They need a mid lane from the side of MRG. So far, setting up pretty nicely with the Jax. They also have that Varus and the Maokai as well. So in terms of going forwards, they do have a lot of engaged. They also have a lot of disengaged too. I think realistically, there could be an angle for some sort of engaged support, but obviously Brom does make their life a little bit difficult, so maybe something more pokey, maybe something more enchantery, maybe something like, I was about to say Seraphine, but obviously Brom can kind of counter
There you
that.
will. Karma.
Like, oh.
I think Karma would actually be the perfect pick from the side of MRG. So, for everybody who hasn't seen a Karma in a while, did actually get a little bit of a buff in one of the most recent patches. Does have a little bit more damage, a little bit more shielded as well. But more importantly, you're against the Braum Ashe. What do they hate most? People that just stay at range as well, poke out the Braum as much as possible, and this is what that champion does. Of course, does actually give a little bit more maneuverability towards the AD carry of the Varus, and as well, even in this big team fight, able to make that Maokai find those snappy engages just a little bit easier. So I think it'd be a great pickup, but I'm not sure if the support of Musi actually plays it.
Well, we'll have to find out. Hopefully that one comes back. Production. Are we close? Are we close? Production? Do we know? Okay, we're not close, Brandy. But with that being said, I want to kind of talk about game plans, right? Because we can talk about draft all we want, but it's all hypotheticals, right? We're never going to know how it's going to go down. What I want to talk a little bit about the last game is about how the play style of the map started, right? Because Leeds built up by LLS through solo play, through a couple roams. They managed to build themselves up. They managed to get a little bit of control on the game. But First Dragon does go to MRG. Now, ever since that First Dragon, Dragon number 2 and onwards, it was all LLS's control. And I want to get a bit of a breakdown of why they were able to do so much, because in that second Dragon, they got those early wards, but it felt like MRG should have been able to contest.
So you make a great point of where the game really kind of flipped the side of LLS, and it all comes down to the solo laners and mostly this mid lane of the Aurelion Sol. If you do remember that last game, Cassiopeia and Aurelion Sol around that level 2, level 1, tried to go for that big fight, tried to, you know, outplay each other. However, Aurelion Sol able to come out on top, able to pick up the kill at the level 4 mark because of poking each other out so much. After that kill, now Aurelion Sol has constant push pressure in the mid lane. So even though they got first dragon, second dragon, at that time, Aurelion Sol just has the amount of priority the team needs, roams down first, and because they have the numbers advantage, it does allow LLS to pick up the second drake and turn the tide to their favors. Now the mid lane has become such a major threat for them. They could just constantly push it out, constantly look for these drones. You talk about one pressure point, they had a second one as well, because at the time of the second drake getting taken, we did see in the top lane a solo Bolo coming up to the Renekton, killing that Ornn, having a pressure point by himself, on top of that killing the Ornn again and again and again. And it felt like Bucci and the Aurelion Sol just got way out of hand. By the time third drake, even fourth drake got up, even though they were scaling up quite nicely on the side of MRG, they were just too far ahead. They just couldn't contest, and that's why the game just slipped away from them.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one, right? I think that MRG will come out a lot more fiery. I'm expecting it. I'm seeing a little bit more in their combo as well. The Varus, they're giving a bit more agency so far moving forwards. The Maokai, a bit more proactivity, you know, could get onto the map a little bit faster. Yes, Rel, very, very good, very strong. But I feel like Maokai, there's just something about it. You know, Twisted Advance, obviously very hard to avoid. It's you can't stop it. You can't. It's going to happen. Also, the fact that they can go with Nature's Advance, it's just a big map AoE lockdown ability that is going to affect a lot of team fights as well. But I want to see, matched up with the picks, more aggression in general. Because I think there were plays that they could have gone for earlier where they backed off a little bit earlier. And I want to go back to that Dragon number 2, right? They kind of just let that one go. And I feel like those moments there, you could potentially go aggressive, and maybe you just kind of put the game into a further state of you're losing. But I feel like if you're already behind, if you're already bleeding out, why not go for the play that could flip the game back into your control and lose you everything, rather than kind of biding your time? Or maybe that's just my take. But how do you see that one setting up, right? Are you kind of in the situation where, okay, they're behind, they know that Aurelion Sol is scaling, let's just flip it for a biscuit, see what happens? Or are you like, okay, actually play controlled, see if you can kind of slowly work your way back into the game?
I'm a little bit biased on going balls to the walls as much as possible.
Okay.
Being a Bard main in support, I'm looking for any lane to try and gank. So I might be just a tad bit biased, but overall, I genuinely do believe that going for these big plays is more important, because even if it is going to be maybe you're losing time if you aren't able to play it perfectly, it's better to do that than just lose the game. We saw MIG, they just kept waiting and waiting and waiting for that perfect opportunity, but it never came. And because they waited so long, with the small snippets of mistakes that MIG were able to do, LLS just completely took over. They saw them slightly out of position, snapped and went for it. And that's really the biggest difference for both of these teams. As when we saw them last play against each other, it felt like MIG well on the front foot, but after their loss, 0-3 loss, it feels like the fire, the enthusiasm of this team has really been snapped out. So I want to see that come back for the second game.
Okay, well, we do have a quick update for the second game. So Musi, I think, had some connection issues, so has been subbed out now because of time durations. Vaso has been subbed in, so we are going to get a switch of roster. We'll see how that does affect. I'm also not sure how the picks are going to work. I think they're probably going to have to keep the same picks they've had so far. Fortunately, LG hadn't picked their support, so they they can put Vaso on something that they are comfortable with that fits their comp, rather than just necessarily putting them on whatever Musi was going to play, which if they were like you know, playing Bard, maybe that's not everyone's cup of tea. And I want to ask you, why Bard never played in Pro Play? What's that about? Tell me.
Okay,
what's the secret sauce about Bard?
The secret sauce about Bard is he is so heavily solo queue focused, I have to say, because Bard's strengths is mostly through the portals and trying to make it where you can roam before anyone else on the map. However, if you do that in Pro Play, they usually are there before the fight even starts. So imagine you're trying to fight for this dragon. Even if you Bard portal in, most people are already going to be there by that time, and it's just so hard to execute at the top echelon of play. That's why most teams usually don't like to play for it. And to be honest, even bigger point is going to be the Bard. He focuses around other lanes, and this is a very mid to bot lane focused meta. It's not going to be the best for him, as we finally do get ourselves back into the draft, as I'm not sure if they have to have the same picks and bans as before.
I imagine that they have to go for the same picks, because otherwise they've seen a lot of what has been going on. A lot of things could change. So I imagine that our first few picks are going to be exactly the same. We're going to get all the way through to second ban phase. We're going to
get a ban. Maybe a Rakan?
No. It's definitely the definitely the Rakan.
It's got to be difficult.
As I think that realistically we're going to get to second ban phase, and then we start to see the real picks. Now, obviously, we talked a lot about picks that could come through. You said it was Aurelion Sol that was secured in ban number 2 as well. So mid and jungle needed from the side of LLS. Mid and support needed from MRG. What do they lock in? We're about to find out.
Yeah, and remember, Vaso being the new support for MIG, having to sub in, not sure 100% why. I think it's because of connection issues. So we're going to have to see what he likes to play. Is he more of an enchanter? Is he more of an engage? With the way that MIG's comp is shaping up, I would prefer an enchant to be coming out from them, but we just have no idea what he's going to play. However, mid lane, still not picked up for both teams. We actually know about these players. I'm expecting AP out from both sides, especially as both teams haven't picked up any AP carries just yet.
But I will say there is a world where I feel like MIG wouldn't need to go for any AP if there's no tank, right? Because Renekton, tanky, Brom kind of tanky, but he's a support, so it doesn't really count the same. They don't have the same number of items. Graves being locked in though, we talked about it, we said it's a prominent pick, it works well here. I'm not mad about it. Is it going to cause some problems in the later stages? We'll have to find out, because something Maokai can become very prominent. And Azir, I mentioned it, I said this could be a pick that we haven't seen too much from in the playoffs, but it definitely is one that Inferti can play.
gives great disengage tools from the side of MIG, allows Varus to open up just a little bit more, making it easier to go the AD version if they do choose. So they have to finally pick their support. Gonna have to see what Vaso doesn't want to pick up with how the team is going. Maybe some disengage would be nice to them. Could even pick up the Nautilus. Not going to be for lane, but please give me one of those enchanters. Anything but Yumi, and I will be okay to support you, Vaso. The actual Soroka is going to get landed in, and this is going to be quite major for this top lane matchup, which we haven't talked much about. Of course, Jax does win against the Renekton in the 1v1. Now, after Soroka ultimate on top of that, it's going to be a lot easier to do that, as the last pick is going to be the Syndra.
That's a tough pick. That's a tough pick. Syndra is so dangerous. The bully potential that they can have in the early stages, it fits very much with the general like motto of LLS that I've seen so far, of liking to play early, liking to get a lead. In the last game, they managed that. They managed to close out the game very well. Syndra poke out the mid laner, get a lot of pressure, cause problems for the Azir, push them in. You know, it's the way they can set up for the Grace as well. I think that there's going to be a lot of priority on this mid lane.
Yeah, and talking about priority in the mid lane, Syndra's incredible at taking out burst damage, and that's really good against MIG's comp, as they only have Maokai who can truly be able to tank all this burst damage. So if ever Crystal Arrow lands, if ever Painful is able to find a stun himself with Scatter the Weak, MIG is just going to get bursted out, not allowing Soroka to be able to heal them up, because she loves it when these are very slow fought fights. The way I'm seeing NLS going, no way they're going to do that.
Yeah, like unleash power onto Soraka. Yeah, goodbye. You're gone.
You're done. Grey screen.
Maybe this is the game where Soraka buys Spirit Visage. That's all I'm saying. Because realistically, if you're thinking about living against Painful, well, you better have a stacked HP bar, because it is a lot that can go down from the Syndra, and not just the Syndra as well. You think about it cinematically, right? The Soraka gets ulted, manages to hit Wish in the perfect opportunity to give them half HP. Or maybe even a little bit less, because Syndra's crazy amount of damage. Graves steps up to the plate, collateral damage through the team, boom, explosion, your healer is gone. And I feel like that could be something that we get to see a little bit later on. But how do they counteract that, right? Because obviously it does require Syndra getting strong, and there are a lot of plays that can come out from MRG.
And the plays coming out from MRG could actually be mostly just trying to scare a lot, because they do have the Maokai, of course, that can find those engages, but most importantly, I think you're just quite happy to just sit back, maybe allow your top laner to try and find these 1v1 fights. Have Soroka try and use the Starfall Light, I do believe. Maybe that's what it's called. Something to do with healing, something to do with falling from the sky, as the amount of healing coming out from the top laner will make it where the Renekton's not going to have that much fun in the top lane. I mean, Nabucci, being that big threat before, it's going to have a lot more trouble trying to do that, especially in this game.
But it could happen again. And that's the thing. That's what I'm a little bit worried about, because you know what? Like, Jax is good. Jax is very strong. But the Renekton is still quite powerful. And you never know. He could manage to pull off another lead, another win, which could make things a little bit dramatic, right? Because if they do manage to get that Renekton ahead once again, if they can start causing problems in the team fights once more, then there are big problems that you have to contend with. Because again, your carriers are going to be under a lot of threat, and Azir not going to be too happy with the Renekton in the face. Now, I will say the bonus to this is the Emperor's Divide obviously does give them a little bit more space, right? It's a little bit more freeing than their last comp. But I also feel like they have less late game in some aspects, right? They have the Azir, but they have the Varus in the bot lane this time, which is not exactly the ultimate in terms of late game, but is very, very strong in the mid game.
Very strong in the mid game indeed, but guess what? We are back again for the second game. We're going to have to see if MIG are going to be able to pick up their second game, see if they can actually pick up a win on the board. Remember, a new support coming out of Vaso. Be very interesting to see how he does gel with this team, because he is going to be their sub for their whole entire team. So they do actually have perspective on how he does play, as we do see a ward coming out from Boots. You're going to be able to spot out where the enemy jungle of Nord wants to start. So good vision coming out from LLS. Should play accordingly to it.
Soraka with the heal as well. That's old school. Well, I don't even know if it's actually old school. I just think that it's vibes, you know. Heal on the support, cleanse on the core. Like that's a lot of anti-CC right there, right? They have the cleanse. They can get away from some of those bursty plays, and also the ultimates there as Painful. It's just starting where they left off, man. They're just bullying Influentic again, And LLS with this early invade onto this rep buff, they're getting proactive, they're getting aggressive. Now it is going to be matched by the side of MRG there. Nord, he is going to be able to get into this jungle. We'll start taking those camps, and we are actually just going to have vertical jungling.
Gabriel, I love how you just were like, that's vibes. This game so far, we're just vibing, just watching two
it fits
teams.
your game plan. Like, you're the one that said it. Like, they want to scale, they want to chill out, they want to play late game. How better to do it than have cleanse and heal?
Yeah, that's why I feel like they should just call this team comp. Just the vibes. Just allow yourself to just try and heal up as much as possible. As I did actually find out that their MRG's assistant coach is actually playing instead of their substitute. So that's going to be a very interesting sign. Because if you're an assistant coach, you know a lot about the game plans your team wants to do. Be interested to see how he will do as a shot caller as top lane.
Bucci gets out of there alive. Really nice slice and dice there. To just about get past that Maokai. And I like that Nord is already being proactive, right? Like, we know that this guy likes to play things like the Nunu, things that are just notorious at just being everywhere and anywhere. So getting onto the Maokai, getting proactive is what I kind of want to see from them. Obviously, they have traded sides with Emp. They are both going to go back to their camps, and we'll see how it goes down. Now, Emp actually, as production just showed us, is one camp down. So maybe we'll reel from that a little bit. But I think all in all, the Graves versus the Maokai, it's a very different game plan. We want to see Emp kind of scaling for himself, whereas Nord, very happy just to keep getting these ganks in. Already showing some pressure on top. Are we maybe seeing Kaga getting ganked a lot more this game?
It definitely could be a possibility because they do get Kaga ahead. We saw about how great Bucci was again these side lane towers. Champion this Ben of Renekton against side lane towers is definitely going to be something like this, Jackson. So he already got a gank before. Another gank could be coming out in just a second. However, good wave state from Bucci. Understanding that he is going to be mostly left solo in this top lanes, is going to be trying to hold a freeze as long as possible to make sure that Kaga can't really push his lead too hard.
We'll see if needs maybe a roam to break that one in the top side, as Nord going to return back to the jungle of Emp, but this time Painful is ready and waiting and warding down. Gonna make this a little bit more of a tricky one, as Influentic now the ones to get ganked here. Emp stepping forward, damage is done, but it's not enough. Dark Sphere doesn't land and Painful won't get that kill, but forces Influentic out of lane.
Yeah, should be able to get the flash and teleport, but Nord trying to react this on the top side.
Kaga going aggressive here, is going to get some damage onto Bucci, but here's the flash forward. Nord puts it on a plate, but it's not synced up. Kaga gets taken down. Bucci with too much damage, and now flashes away. Doesn't even die. The tree thought he had it, and he will finally get it. Maybe a little bit overzealous from Bucci there. I don't know if you need to go back in, brother, but he is going to risk it for the biscuit. It doesn't pay off, but a 1-for-1 when it should have been all done. Really nice play for LLS.
You can't blame him from going in. From last game to this game, going for a 2v1 and coming out on top, just showing how incredible this top lane has really been that whole entire time by Lightside.
Influentic getting stunned up, and he's not going to die here, but the damage taken, he's already TP'd back to lane, and looks like he might be going for another trip home.
Yeah, as Painful is just able to push out this wave, and he's going to lose not just the gold, but the XP on top of that. As it just seemed like Lightside solo laners are completely destroying the map compared to MRG. And that even comes on the back of Nord trying to find the gank in the top lane. Just devastating that it didn't go correct for them.
And I also on this the other day, I was like, if your life was a movie and you were the solo character, what would it be called, right? What would it be about? And right now, if you're Influentic, he's the reverse Spider-Man, you know? He's not away from home, he's always home. Because he's just being forced out of his lane every single time. The roams from LLS have been very targeted. They're getting Painful ahead. They want this to be a big lead like it was in the first game and for it to continue. But Nord now trying to flip the script, now trying to get aggressive themselves, and will give some backup for Influentic. But Scatter the Weak is just too potent.
Yeah, the flash getting used in the top side by Nord in the 1v1 against Bucci to pick up the kill does mean that he doesn't have it in the mid lane now, so they aren't able to pick up that kill. And because he showed himself towards the top side, it does allow LLS to maybe look for side bot lane instead.
Yeah, quite happily stepping forward. MRG playing aggressive on that one as Influentic tried to get out Painful, but a good flash away will keep them alive. But a much nicer trade from Influentic, now starting to stamp out a bit of dominance. Already has the lost chapter. A bit more damage starting to come through, but no ultimate now versus the Syndra, who does have the unleashed power and needs to be careful.
Influentic just showing a lot more of the trailer he can truly be compared to last game, where it just felt like he couldn't do much, and being able to use that streamer shuffle into the mid lane to try and get painful steps. However, is able to pick up that flash, which does mean that Nord has a lot easier of a time trying to fight that gank, especially as both top and mid lane doing a flash up and available. So the next 3 minutes is going to be crucial if MRG want to try and find these leads.
Dragon there secured, and we saw how important they were in the first game. They're going to come back in a big way here. Kaga and Bucci trading once again, going even there though. Bucci able to clap back in the second half of that trade as Nord sitting back ready for more invades. Influentic is going to join them in this jungle as well, and they will get sight of M. So this should be secured by the tree. Nord should take this with no problems, and we'll see M can actually work this one out, because Bucci is starting to move around. I feel like they know that something is up. I mentioned the film earlier, but spider senses do be tingling.
And because of that, they are able to push in the way for Kaga, so he can reset, not having to teleport to get back, but it should be fine. But actually, great reset, or great panic from Bucci, realizing there is a nearby bot lane. Huge damage.
Of corruption, gonna go down, but no kill possible there. No ignite. They do have the heal. They do still have cleanse as well, but Nidget able to use that crystal arrow. If they catch out Vaso, this could be curtains for this bot lane, but they are on a wall, so they do see this, but it doesn't matter. They're going to go aggressive straight up onto Vaso. They should be able to pick up this kill. They do, and now maybe looking for more. Shakur stepping forward. If they can get the concussive blows, maybe it all ends. There's the stun. The cleanse comes through, but it's a double kill already to Nidget, and what a win for LLS. Across the board, they are getting leads.
They're winning in every single lane, even in the mid lane. However, MRG able to pick themselves up the tail. But it just feels like too little too late as Lightside just constantly first to the plate, first to get themselves big leads. Of this Ashe now having a double kill should be able to reset pretty shortly and get themselves a big lead.
Making them just a bit of disrespect. Like LLS are just kind of having their moments, making their plays, and it feels like MRG are just maybe overestimating their ability or underestimating them, as Bucci once again says you cannot stay under your tower. Gets the kill. It's an easy call to Meek, and now going to get some more plates.
They will. Remember before this game we talked about what was the issue from the side of MRG? What was the champion to really, destroy them? And we thought it was Aurelion Sol. Maybe I want to revert my statement to say it might be this Renekton, as even though Kaga was able to find the counter pick into it, Renekton's able to be able to find a 2v1, able to find another kill under the tower, ready 2.5 plates to his name, almost got that third, and it's just going bad to worse, and even able to just...
2 levels up as well, by the way. Like, this is just not fun. But look at the damage! What is the damage? Cole the Meek is insane! Bucci is just walking down Kaga. He's flushed! He's had to flush as well! This is crazy from the top lane right now of LLS. Bucci just has this on lock, is not letting it go, and look, if I'm MRG, we've got to start making some plays around the map, because Crystal Arrow are going to come through. It is going to go slightly... No. No way! No, tell me he doesn't die. Kaga there with the heal there. The wish coming out from Vaso is going to keep them alive. That would have been one of the craziest sequence of events.
If you guys have ever heard of cyberbullying,
yes,
here it is. Kaga is getting cyberbullied at this point, not being able to play the game at all.
But there is scaling.
True. That's what I was about to mention about mid lane. Influentic actually being able to contest in this mid lane, maybe even trying to look at kill pretty soon. Even in the bot lane as well, MRG able to utilize having a double range versus range melee matchup, able to poke out the Ashe quite significantly, able to pick up 1 plate to their name. Second one's going to be coming in just a second. Even though top's losing badly, they've held up as well. MRG still have quite a few plays to make.
And it's, in my opinion, about weathering the storm, right? You said that's how they're going to set up. They are starting to win in the bot lane, which is what we want to see, right? The Varus is a little bit faster paced than the rest of the team. They are starting to pick up some good plays. Influentic gaining a lot of control now. Hasn't actually died in this lane, just had some unfortunate early game plays where they had to base. They had to lose time and tempo, but all in all, very much keeping up with the Syndra. Obviously, we can have a little look at the gold between them. Maybe it tells a little bit of a different story, but I'm not expecting anything crazy. Yeah, 300 gold, not something that you're going to be too sad about. Because in the top lane, there is a bit of a deficit, right? There's 1,500 gold between them, and it is showing in the top scoreline as well, right? 2k lead to LLS, but it has to mean something. They have to put it into more. So far, they've got one dragon. It looks like they're going to start for the second as we do go to the bot lane. As Kaga persistent to fight this one, but let's go into this bot lane. Dragon is up.
Teleport is up for Bucci's. There should be a contestation coming out from MRG. Second Drake should be quite easy for Lightside to be picking up, and the way that this game is going for them, they're going to be very happy with it. All MRG do have though is, even in the top lane when it's looking a bit rough, the longer this game goes out, when they start getting towards that 1-2 items, Kaga's going to start being able to deal damage to Stalker.
They're going to get knocked up, go down, but it's a long engage, right? They are quite far. Oh, the damage! Ninja almost going down. Not going to fall though, and moving Influentic does kind of put the pressure on LS. They are going to have to send back Ninja, as we are going to see class damage go slightly wide. This wave is being contested. They will get a little bit of chip damage, but nothing too absurd, nothing crazy. But MRG stamping out that, you know what, we are still in this game. We are still powerful. We can still make things happen. In that top side, Kaga starting to get a bit of a better trade onto Bucci, and as those items do start to rain in, I think the Jacks will become more prominent. The only fear that I have is about later in the game, the split pushing potential, right? Because we would want, if we were going to go by the book game plan, the Jacks to start to become strong enough that he could start taking the split push away from Bucci, but it doesn't feel like that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely going to be a little while as top lane just constantly train each other out there. MRG maybe looking to sign bot lane. However, because Grom is just here, able just to tank up so much, they are going to be able to defend this tower, but because of Bucci in the top lane being so powerful, will be able to pick up first tower of the game, get a lot more gold into his pocket, as he is still 2-1.
And I like this. I said, okay, look, if you're not going to be able to get the Jacks in the lead where you can kind of forcibly win against this Renekton, how do you kind of counteract that? How do you kind of make that play? It looks like they're just trying to get their bot lane very far ahead, but look at this mid lane. The stun, Painful, is just causing problems, and I feel like if Influentic stays, he is gone. There is no way that he will survive the unleashed power. Is that kind of how you see this game plan from Nord? Do you say, okay, look, the Jax is too far behind, he's not going to be able to get back in the game, we just focus on that bot lane that is starting to do quite well?
I think that's probably the best option, because you can try and stop the bleeding in top lane, but it's more important to try and make a lead any way you can, and Varus seems to be the place to do it, as you can see. Even though they lost that double kill, able to pick up 4.
Great block there. Great block coming in from Shakur. Allowed to use the cleanse to just get away from that one. But maybe now needs to be a little bit careful, because if those summoners do start to... Oh, sorry. If those cooldowns do come up again, then there could be a little bit of problem for Shakur. But Nord sticking around that bot side, persistent to try and get this gank off, or at least just give pressure to allow Shakur to push his way to get that tower, to allow him to then have some freedom to rotate around the map, because it feels like they are setting up for the fact that they want to put their bot lane mid to get more gold, to get more of a lead, because they are starting to build that one up. But look at this top lane. Kaga now starting to find a bit of help, but Dominus is going to come through, and Bucci is just raining in damage. Going to get a pretty heavy trade. We'll go even and even, but in the bot lane now, Painful is here, and goodbye Vasa. We talked about the unleashed power, but this might be a 1-for-1, a take back for Nord. And I won't lie to you, I don't really know how Syndra got there.
Yeah, I think Syndra actually used her teleport and flash to get right behind him, as you can see on that wall right behind her, but it just doesn't really matter on that, as Kaga was able to try and contest the top laner, was actually able to try and find that 1v1, barely doesn't pick up the kill, as Lightside will be pushing out this mid lane with the Ashe because of this bot lane tower getting missed out. Influentic does have ways to escape, will be nearby.
Turret is going to be up. Nice. Empress Divide will... Oh no, I thought it was going to stop it, but EMP is just willing to go for the full play. Flashes, dashes, but not going to be able to get close enough to Influentic. Will have to back off, as Nord once again roaming around that bot side. I wonder how his pathing is going to change now that they put their Varus into the mid lane. Play around Varus, play around Azir. What is your kind of standpoint on that?
I think you need to play around Varus mostly, because he's already shown where he can find those leads, already winning this bot side, and with the Srocker by his hand, a lot harder to kill, being able to try and find something. But Bucci still on the top side, being just such a menace, trying to steal away jungle camps at this point. There's nothing that Kage can do, as he is going to be a full item up, but Nord might be changing this.
And to be honest, the Jax now, with the first completed item, is starting to make this a lot closer, right? Kage is having much better trades. Although I'm really hoping I haven't discussed the curses. Dominus is going to come out, but here's Grandmaster's Might, and here is the jungler as well. A 2v1, but Kage is still going low. Wish going to have to be used as well. Stun does connect, but Bucci is still alive. Is there enough damage to finish this one off? The heal comes through. He's against the tree. Does he have the damage? He's getting so much down. The Leaf Strike is going to pick up that kill. Collateral damage not enough to finish off Nord. And although Bucci is strong, the 2v1 is stronger. But look at what they had to use. Soraka ult 2 members in the top side. What can LLF gain from this? Although it looks like they're losing, in the mid lane as well, as Shakur going to step forward, manage to get the chains of corruption down. Nishi already low, and in the bot side too, Painful isn't looking too strong, and all across the board, MRG are starting to take wins.
They're looking like a completely different unit here, as because of Jax having that first item complete. Maybe he isn't able to 1v1 yet, definitely able to 2v2, and now 550 gold taken from that bounty. He's going to be so much stronger, especially in these side lanes. However, LLS still in the lead, still have 1,000 gold lead, but MRG are going to be first this straight. 8,000, 7,000 on it. It's going to be fast by LLS to try and contest this, but I think it might just get taken.
They aren't willing to give this one up for free. They want to claim something off of this play. It's not going to be Dragon, but can it be gold? EM is going to be caught out, but there's Basso taken down. We talked about the damage that the Syndra is going to do, and Painful gets away as well. Doesn't fall. Shakur forced away by Bucci, ran out of the pit, and they take 2 for nothing. And now they're looking for the mid lane as well. No plates, but tower falling will be massive for LLS, and they're going straight for it. Herald going to charge. I don't think they're going to be able to take this one though, because Shakur and Kage just too much of a dominant threat there. But the charge, the damage, a little bit of a play to get themselves ahead is now in the bot side as well. Nord getting sliced up by Bucci. Positive play all round though, but was it worth giving up that dragon? Should LLS have maybe been a bit faster to the play?
I think LLS, it's fine to give up Dragon if you're able to pick up 2 kills, able to get a lot of chunk damage on the mid and bot lane tower, where hopefully by the next time you're near them, you should be able to pick up that standing gold. And the more gold that you're getting, the further ahead you're going to be, as Kage is still just so far behind. 50 CS down, half an item down as well. And as well, on top of this, EMP was able to try and look for Psyche in top side, able to farm up as well, as this game is just still looking very favored to LLS, but I have to give props to MRG for fighting back.
Yeah, had a bit of a nice spell for themselves. I do think playing through the Varus can be quite important. Maybe we see a bit of play through Influentic as well. They have looked both very strong, both Skill and Influentic. Their power spikes are starting to get reached a little bit. Talk to me about this Varus build, because obviously Varus is someone that can kind of build a lot of different things. Can go crit, can go AD, lethality, can also go AP. Where is this sitting on your tier list of Varus builds?
So I actually think it's the most prominent Varus build around, mostly because recently you've seen a lot of the Kai'Sa coming through, seen a lot of the Xerath, all because they're incredibly well at poking you out before these fights even start. And Varus basically is the king of that, being able to do that as an AD carry. And it's because he is into stuff like Syndra, like the Gragas, also like the Greys in the jungle. There's just so many squishy members that he can try and poke out before the team fight really starts. And because of the Mirror Mana and the Youmu's, with that lethality build coming out, it should be able to do that pretty effectively in the next couple fights.
Now, you talked about when they go back to these towers, they should fall. Well, Bucci going to stick to that plan. Takes one more tower, more gold into the bank of LLS, who right at 20 minutes are 4k up. So they are extending that lead ever so slightly, and now they're looking for more. No cleanse means no way out, but a good stop from Nord will keep their ADC alive. Shakur's not going to go down. Influentic with the TP. Now coming in, Emperor's Divide to silence out the Brom, but goodbye. They almost get taken down, but they're able to walk away. The slow's not enough. Nidget not able to deal out enough damage, and a nice bit of healing there from Vaso will keep them up and moving. But Bucci still forcing back Kage, and also Painful able to get a little bit of pressure onto that top side, but not joining that fight, meaning MRG stay alive.
Yeah, painful not being anywhere near it, so then they just can't contest it. 3 versus 4, so MRG able to pick up a kill on the back of that. Almost lose Influente, but the flash and teleport able to keep him out to safety as LLS losing these fights slowly but surely, getting MRG straight back into this game. And because they were also able to get that dragon a few minutes ago, this does give them a little bit more time to just farm up, as we see in the bot lane, Bucci's not finding those 1v1 kills, and Kaga starting to be able to contest them.
But can they start to 1v1? That's kind of the moment I'm waiting for. I think if the game, if we get to a point where Kaga can 1v1 Bucci, the whole map starts to change. I'm also looking at other pivotal moments. Could be maybe if Influentic can really start to dominate the Syndra as well. As we are actually going to go... wait, are we going? Was that a replay? I feel like it almost looked like a replay, but we're not into a replay. Sorry, I just got baited. But also, like, looking at that bot lane, right? I think the Varus has been looking strong, but it hasn't set behind Nidget, right? Nidget is still quite far ahead in general and is looking very strong. And I think that it's a sentiment where I don't think MRG are in a bad spot in this game by any means, but LLS are definitely one step ahead in all single lanes. Now, can they be one step ahead before this dragon, as we are going to start setting up towards that next objective?
The next objective will be starting up. You talked about Ash being very useful as mid lane.
Ooh, Shakur gonna be able to stay away. The damage coming out, not enough. The healing too much from Vaso, and they stay alive. Shakur not gonna go down to the unleashed power. Huge ultimate already used by LLS. As now Influentic look at the positioning, looking for a flank, but talking about flank, here comes Bucci, straight onto Vaso, looking to get the kill on Thraka, but doesn't manage to land straight on top of them as LLS grouped up, but that could be massive for Influentic. In goes Kaga, looking for the stun, that's the 3 members, there's the shuffle, they get the AoE down, but look at Bucci, still alive in between 4 members, but will get silenced. Triple kill to Nord, and their health bars may be low, but their play was not slow. They make the big ace and move to Baron.
Baron's going to be able to pick up for MRG, and that's all on the back of this Soroka not getting picked up, trying to get straight on top of him, as we can just see in this play. Look at this, going in, great stun coming out from Kaga, able to keep them away. Now Vasu's in a safe position, and Kaga yet again goes in. Look at this unstoppable force, using the ultimate as well from Influentic, and then a big Bravo smash from Nord into that backline, able not to just pick up the jungler, but the AD carry as well, leaving Justice Connection all on his own, not able to do anything, creating a ace for the side of MRG and being able to pick up this Baron. As this all happened, Dragon hasn't even been taken.
And gold is equalized. Now MRG are actually ahead. They were 4k down, now they are 1k up. So huge goal swing, huge game swing. And look, we said that Kaga, he's been behind, but a big play he can still find, and he makes it work. He still is a problem in this game because he's still going to be quite tanky. Grandmaster's might give you so much extra armor and MR. It's hard to just take him down immediately, and the burst from Bucci slowly but surely will start to fall off, and especially as they start to pick up these Drakes. Now, 2 Chemtech Drakes picked up. Obviously, Soul Point is still quite far in the future, but looking kind of forward as the prospects have gone in terms of team fights, are you starting to favor MRG in these situations?
I'm definitely favoring MRG in the most recent fights, and it's all because, take a look at both AD carries. Ash hasn't really found any way to position herself and start pumping out the damage compared to Secure, which is able to burst people out. Whenever they try to get onto Vasu, they're great disengage tools, with Kaga with Nord being able to keep themselves, even having the ultimate from Influentic, having those sand soldiers right in front of you to give you the defensive line. And LLS, the only way they're going to be winning these fights is finding those big engages on Vaso, and that's what Bucci tried, but because of that slight mistake of stunning up Kaga instead, is the main reason they're able to lose that last fight.
Ooh. Painful getting caught out there. Influentic gets the Emperor's goodbye, and they the soldiers descend. 3 man just diving in, but Influentic now in a bit of trouble. Emp has come up to the top side, but not going to get the stun. People in trouble, and there is the damage, but it's not enough. And Emp use the collateral damage, but it's not going to be able to finish off the Azir, and in comes Nord MRG Swarm, and they force away LLS, who have now started to bleed more and more and more, and they need to get a plaster to stop this soon.
But I don't think they need a blaster. I think they need something a lot more like Stitches, because of this game is just falling apart at it seems. They are able to pick up the top lane tower, should be able to pick up the second tower without much contest, as we both see Ash and Brom to come in. MRG deciding that actually it might be a little bit too much to do, so we'll be going for that reset. And talked about gold, 3k lead now, and it's looking completely different to what we've seen. And this is showing what MRG truly can be. This is really showing, most importantly, how strong Kagger as a top laner can be. Having so many troubles in this early game, even in last game against Renekton, but finally able to stomp out this Croc and really show what he can do.
And we said about in this matchup giving him something that he can do a little bit more with, getting a bit more proactive, not just being like a big tank that just stands and kind of absorbs damage, but actually being able to throw punches back. And it's working out better, right? Yes, we've had the early game that was rough. Yes, we had the bullying phase there, but we've then got the redemption arc. We've then got the power that has come back into the Jax, and now is able to contend with Uchi. And it's caused major problems for LLS, but they may have stepped a bit far forward here. This could be the curse. He is going to get a stun. He's not going to get away. He is gone. But Dr. Chaos takes the kill. Ooh.
Be real, I'm never going to, you know, hype up a player again.
Yeah, because they always die. Talking about hype up, Painful wasn't talked about, but they're still going to go down. Nice dive there from Nord. And that's just what the Maokai can do. It's an easy setup, and there's not really much Painful can do. Tries to throw the stun, but it just gets dodged. And then they are now able to start pushing more and more into this tower. Tier 2 is gone. Gold is up. And they're looking for the Tier 3 as well. But I think it is going to be defended nicely from LLS. Nothing on the map right now. 1 minute 50 until Baron. 1 minute 40 until Dragon. Is the game plan for Nord just keep pushing in waves to look for an opening? Or do you just kind of reset and set yourself ready for the objectives?
I think you should probably reset pretty soon. 1 minute 30 on both objectives. It's going to be so important, especially to get the next Baron, to be able to push out more and more and more, as it really feels like Lightside's team comp has kind of dwindled out. Because we talked about how they're great at trying to find these picks, great at trying to burst someone out, but they're so far behind now with their burst damage, that it doesn't really feel like they can do what their comp desires, especially with this Ashe. Even if they do hit a crystal arrow, are they going to be able to kill someone with that?
Yeah, well, I think the key is kill Vasa, right? Like, I think that we've seen that in a couple of fights now. This Soraka is able to do a lot if they can stay alive, and they also are quite tanky, right? Like, they aren't just going down to anything, right? They've taken a few hits, and I do like that the proactivity of MRG to keep them alive has been very clear, right? Obviously, we saw it in that big fight where Kaga was able to stall out Uchi. But again, then the question is target pressure, or target selection even, for LLS, right? How do they play this fight properly? Because you've got Kagger in the front, Nord will be diving in, but the aim is obviously the back line.
The aim for the back line, and it's all going to be about the coming from the side lanes that we talked about, how we wanted flanks to be coming out from Bucci. He tried in the last fight, of course didn't work out for Vaso, bless you to you as well. It's mostly down to being able to find them. If they are going to be able to, that was production. Bless you to our production, man. What, you can't, even if you're casting, if somebody sneezes, you always have to do it.
Yeah, no, it's a, oh, Uchi, caught in a rough situation. Good flash will get them out. But this is not what you want to see if you are LLS. They are going to get this dragon. They are going to put themselves on a break soul point, but have MRG just open the door for a Baron.
Yeah, Baron has been started upgrade completely on the opposite side. Getting burst out pretty quickly by only just the support and the jungler. Finally having Shaco come in, Influencer coming nearby, and it's looking like the side of LLS will be giving this after 3 Baron over to MRG. Trying to pick up as much gold as possible into the bot lane. Should be able to pick up the towers. You can just see it barely on your screen. Crystal Arrow landing onto the carry of Vaso, but too little too late, as it will be out in safety. Reset's going to be coming out. MRG trying to push out this top wave, but overall great play for MRG, able to pick up the Baron. Let's see how far they can push this.
I think they should be able to get quite a lot of damage. I don't know if they fully take this tower though. Obviously M is going to cause some problems, and yeah, there you go, Dr. Chaos. They put up that shield, but actually they might just be able to do it. The Baron empowered minions are just slamming down on this one. They will get one. Will they be able to take more? We're seeing the TP though. Here we go. Painful coming in from the backline. Can they get a stun? Can they get up to Vaso? You talked about flanks. Here they are. Bucci go into the backline. Looking for Vaso. Influencing is still alive, but we'll focus on that in a second. Bucci has taken down Vaso. Goodbye to Soraka. But now LS in a little bit of a weird situation. They are being flanked and also flanking Shakur, who is going to keep buying time. Cleanse comes through, but Bucci will finally take their prize. They will get the kill onto the ADC. And now MRG between the Inhib and LLS going to start running back towards LLS's base. Do have a tower from the Azir, but I don't know how they're going to get out of this, to be honest.
Yeah, Nord's on his Lonesome. They can try and go through the jungle if they want to. Both having Ninja and Painful up, they have quite a bit of burst damage they get onto any of the carries. Influentic and the top laner of Kaga are actually going to be going for a reset. Crystal Arrow not landing. That's going to be the end of the fight. And it was looking really bad from the side of LLS at the start. However, great plays coming out from Bucci, being able to kill the Soraka before the fight even starts, being able to kill as well. Secure halfway through that fight is able to really clutch up for their team and get themselves an opportunity back into this game. As Dragon will be spawning in around about 2.5 minutes. And if LLS are able to pick this up, there is a possibility that they can try and win this game.
And you talked about flanks, right? It's what we finally saw from them there. They managed to get 2 members on the flank, but it cost them the TP. And how can they do it without the TP to the T? Because they're not going to have that all the time.
It's mostly going to be around the vision. As something that a lot of people don't really think about is how important vision truly is. As you could see, every single member of both teams having 30 to 40 awards their name as Kaga in the bot lane. Justin Bucci.
They're starting to win these fights now. They're getting to the stage where Renekton just isn't going to be able to really contend with this Jax, and you're starting to see the proof is in the pudding. So Jax there with the Zhonya's too, just gives them such capability in these team fights. And look at the tower taking potential too, with the Baron empowered minions, just absolutely disintegrates that one. And they are going to press onward and onward. They still have 20 seconds on the buff. Maybe one more wave is going to be forced in this mid lane as well. A bit of poke going to come out, and you see the power of the Varus, right? The power of the poke just allowing them to set up. They get in to take this tower. Oh, they have enough damage. They're going to step forward. They will get it. I think they're going to start to walk away as Arrow might stop their disengage. In comes Influencing. Needs to be careful. The unleashed power taking them down low, but not enough.
2 major ultimates getting expended from the side of Lightside, meaning that MRG don't really have to be too scared on anything that the opposition will be trying to face at them. Luckily from the side of LLS, Dragon spawn in 1 minute 20. They do have enough time, as Dr. Chaos does need to be careful. You can't just walk in all alone, even though it is just going to be a Maokai, as we do see a quick pause coming out from the side of MRG. Influentic having a few issues, seeming like the farm is not going the way that he wants.
Yeah, and much better play from MRG in general, as we are going to see back to this one moment of glory for LLS.
Yeah, glory is definitely the way to go for him. When you talk about glory, take a look at Bucci, able to get himself onto Vassal into the backline, stuns up, able to use the Q to get them out. Now secure all on his Lonesome with his team right behind him. For Bucci, able to use these minions to dash through, gets the stun up. Even the cleanse and flash coming out is just too little too late. And no matter MRG have 3 main members up, there's just nothing you can do, especially against 4 of the enemy teams. So LLS able to walk themselves out, get themselves out to safety, and it's a really good play coming out from Bucci.
And we saw at the start of that play as well, Emp getting taken down by the Jax there. It has felt like Emp hasn't been able to really get into this game. He's got 3 items, but hasn't been too dominating. And obviously we think about Graves in the past, really kind of just walking around the map, going where they please, just able to just win any 1v1. When are we expecting the Graves to start to come online, or is it just that LS don't have the comp to set him up for it?
Well, when you take a look at how much range the side of MRG have, Influentic, Secure, and Vassal never want to come in melee range, and those are going to be the squishy champions. Of course, Graves is not going to have a very good time. All he has is Kaga, who's able to use, you know, the E from himself to stop you from dealing damage against him. You have Nord, who can just tank it up. So EMP just hasn't got the best team comp to really be coming online. However, it's still a Graves is always a champion that you can never doubt out, because if he does have a full burst combo on any of these squishy champions, they will get taken out in an instant. And especially when you're Soraka, you do not like this burst damage, so EMP could definitely come up big in these fights. He just needs to try and play it as best as possible.
We'll see if they can start to find an opening. 5k gold lead has been where MRG are sitting. And they have just slowly but surely worked up this gold lead ever since that big fight before the Baron. And it doesn't seem like they're stopping anytime soon either. Now, obviously we talked about the Baron being a little bit more mid-game. Let's hold the phone one sec because Kaga is going to be found by Emp doing a little bit of damage, but nothing too major. And Dragon has been started, which means that MRG might just get a free run at this.
They should be able to get a free run on this as Kaga is just so tanky in this top lane, especially with Basu near him. So then they are going to be trying to turn this around, try and go for top lane, trying to get as much CS as possible. As LLS are just truly deciding maybe we can't take the fight yet. We can't go for it until our Asher's flash. But to be honest, the longer this thing goes, the worse it gets for Breach.
Oh, Influentic gonna go aggressive, manages to get the pushback on to Dr. Chaos, and then they have the damage, they take him down. Goodbye, as Fuchi now fighting Kaga, will get support from Emp at some point potentially, but Kaga just taking the fight away from the Greys, and here comes TP1, here comes TP2. Influentic is going to join the fight, and so is Painful, but again, the rest of the team is starting to come here. MRG are getting members across the board here, and they are going to take down LLS. Now, it is all 1-for-1 so far. Influentic did fall, but Emp might be next. The slow going to be slightly short. Good flash away. Will get out of the damage. Is now Painful caught by Kaga. I think they are going to be able to make it out. They should be able to get out safely at least, I think. Although Nord might be able to get this stun. Might be able to hold them up a little bit longer. Stunned up, but there is the jump. Shakur almost in range. Good flash from Painful will get them out. And you said about they're trying to stall, but does the game get better for LLS? Do they scale better into the game than MRG?
I think this game just gets worse and worse. Of course, you do have Syndra and Ash, which do get better into the game, but I just feel like this Jax is just already becoming such an issue from what he was before. As the ban is going to be started up by Nord, seeming like they may even want to try and burst this out before the side of LLS wants to try and contest this. However, good vision coming out from the Ash. Arrow will actually spot it out. We're gonna have to see if MRG still want to stick on this. They do win this fight.
Yeah, Hawk shot coming through clutch. No Renekton here. Does have TP though, and here we go. Here is the TP of the crop into the river. Kaga stepping up. Gonna get the stun onto Bucci as the wall being held by Dr. Chaos, but in goes Nord. They're going aggressive. Can they find the damage? Forward goes LLS, but they are not taking anyone down just yet. Sugar gonna go into stasis. Will buy some time as Kaga gets the double stun, but needs to be careful himself. Now steps forward. Influentic builds the wall, stops him going forward, but look at the backline. Renekton is just relentless, taking down more, and it's actually going to be a 3-for-1 so far over to LLS. They're stepping forward again, and Nord could be in big trouble here. Going to have to run into the jungle, and it has happened. LLS have won a big team fight, and maybe the door is going to swing again.
Bucci is playing the series of his life. We have to see a replay later on of what happened truly there, because he just did so much for the team. If he wasn't able to pick up the double kill, even the triple kill for his team, it would look completely different as Ash Arrow does, man.
No way. The stun with the Chaos might go down for this, so they might be able to pick up Nord, which is an absolute huge take. There's Unleashed Power. There's the collateral damage, and the tree has fallen in the jungle. Did you hear it?
I heard the brambles snap into the back line as Kaga maybe looking for EMP, maybe isolated all on his own. No teleports from his team to support him.
Oh, this is rough, man. Jax versus ADC, especially short range ADC. Emp, you're in trouble. You need to run. The leap strike is there. Kaga is relentless, but the team might be able to get into range. No, the bomb doesn't manage to land with the knock-up, and Kaga gets the kill, but can they get revenge? Can they find the kill after all? They will lock him down. Nice pick up there. Next objective though, Dragon, 1 minute 30. LS starting to win some fights. Is this maybe their time to bring the game back under their control?
To be honest, with the fight that happened in the top side, having Kaga get taken out, it's actually going to be really good from the side of LLS for that 1v1, because you know EMP is struggling in that fight. But most importantly, we have to talk about this ban. We have to talk about what Bucci does. If there's one member to watch, it is going to be this Renekton. Of course, going to have a lot of trouble in this early game to find is able to stop the ultimate of Nord, and then quickly seeing the stun go straight into Basu, isn't able to pick it up. Stuns up the main AD carrier.
Wait, live. We're in a fight. Dr. Chaos is going to go down. They were pushing the base. They managed to get the tower, but they don't get more, and they do sacrifice their support for it. Now in the mid lane, we did see Bucci pushing, managed to get the tier 2 as well. But they tried to go for the power play. They tried to go for an aggressive push, and it doesn't work out for them. MRG coming back, and I know that we cut off the replay there. We may be going back to that one in a sec, but what I want to ask you is, we talked about flanks. We talked about getting into the back line. Bucci didn't get the flank this time around, but he still managed to end up
Yeah, and that's mostly because he's able to dash through a lot of the front members and get into the back line, not having the amount of, disengage they truly wanted. But more importantly, Dragon Spawn in the next 25 seconds, sole point for both teams. Kentech Drake up for both teams. They try and contest this. Teleports are coming out. We're going to have to see if Bucci is able to redo what he did before. Flash isn't going to be up for the next 10 seconds as Dragon will be spawning in the next 5.
I wonder if Influentic just plays a bit further back, right? Obviously, in that last fight, was quite far forward, played the wall against the enemy team to lock them out of the river, but you didn't get rid of the Croc, and, well, it looks like NLC have just chosen the path of least resistance. They've gone down mid. They're not going to fight versus MRG, who have now got the Chemtech Soul. I don't know if I love that as a decision, but maybe they've got some 400 IQ. Maybe they knew more than I did. Maybe they feel like they can't win that fight right now as they're going to storm onto this mid tower. But they need to be careful. There's the knockback. Dr. Chaos in trouble. The tower's so low that maybe they can just take it and then start this fight. But Influentic is taking a lot of damage. But in the back line, Kagos, we talked about flanks, but it's now happening from MRG. They find a big opening and they are snapping shut the door. It's swinging back and forward, but I think this time it might be fully closing as MRG win another team fight.
MRG having a wave in the mid lane as well. These timers are so long, 40 seconds apiece. You're thinking that Brom's going to be taken out here. 4 members of MRG are barreling down the base. It's Bucci and EMP to try and defend this here.
Tower going to go up for a bit of protection. I don't think they even need it. They're going to step forward. Kaga is going to get the stun. Bucci going to have to be forced away. Can they wave clear is my question. What is the answer? They're stepping forward. Kaga forces Emp away. Bucci also just getting cut down. Finally will be removed as Emp facing a similar fate here. Gonna drop. It's a game 2 turnaround from MRG as they close this one out to make it 1-1.
The confidence boost MRG must be feeling after winning that game must be astronomical, especially in the early game. It wasn't going that way. Bucci being an absolute monster in the top lane, but the longer the game went on, Kaga able to get back into it. And most importantly, even though Bucci was able to find these incredible plays, it felt like the rest of LLS just were falling further and further behind. So the longer the game went on, we knew that the side of MRG were going to scale up and LLS weren't able to clear it out fast enough. So then able to find that retake, able to pick up that win. And now it's a set piece of 1-1.
And it felt like that's how we were expecting the series to go, right? We were expecting early game from LLS, then the question of can they keep it going all the way through to the end? If the answer is no, well then MRG are going to close out in those team fights, and that is what we've seen so far. LLS, if they keep their lead, they can snowball out the game, they can close it out like game 1, or MRG, if they find some good team fights, they find their footing, they can always bring it back. So 1-1 is the score. We're going to have a short break, so go get a drink, go get a snack, but be right back because game 3 is coming up next, and if it's anything like game 1 and 2, we've got another banger. We are back again, back to business, and both teams have now popped off in their own single way. Game 1 went to LLS, Game 2 went to MRG. And how are you kind of feeling as we move forward about both of these teams? Are you expecting similar to Game 1, similar to Game 2, or do you feel like lessons have been learned and the games are now evolving?
Well, I think both teams are going to be playing a lot differently to, well, say Game 1 or Game 2, because MRG feel confident now. I feel confident that they can win a game, because, to be honest, after the first game, after the first half of second game, I was thinking LLS might do this, but now MRG being able to find that comeback in second game, be able to pick up their first win of this series, we should see a very close match. However, I feel like the big bright spot from the side of LLS has to be their top laner, Bucci, played super well, able to find those 1v1s, those 2v1s, and those big outplays when the team truly needs. So we're going to have to see if MRG do want to try and counteract that. Of course, Aurelion Sol as well, been a very important pickup for both of these teams. So we're going to have to see if MRG do actually want to try and ban that away. They want to go for their simple, 3 usual bans and get the card out next.
And it pushes the question of, do you put Bucci on something that carries? Do you put him on something that really makes waves as we go into the later stages? Or is it actually that realistically he's just playing off of that proactive play early, and you need to bring something that will scale well if you get him into a position where he can give other people leads? So that's the kind of situation that we're setting up here. Right now, Maokai locked in. There's a very strong pick from Nord. I'm not mad about it, and it feels like we're getting a Zoe run back.
Yeah, because I don't really blame either team for doing this, because LLS, very strong early game, made a few mistakes mid, and then kind of lost it all towards the late, while the side of MIG do have their counteractions into what LLS want to do. However, Jax, remember, is meant to be pretty strong against the Renekton in the top lane, especially if they play more defensively. So we're going to have to see if they will be able to find that lead. And you talked about salty run backs, not exactly, as LLS will be picking up the Nautilus in that bot lane, able to find those snapping gauges, which I kind of felt like they were lacking last game.
I do like the switch up to give a bit more engage power, as you said, put a bit more threat onto the Varus, onto the Soraka as well. Maybe that's why they decided to lock in the hook, right? Maybe they wanted to take away the chance. You can play a safe enchanter, you can keep yourself at the back line, not having to worry about anyone getting on top of you. And Nautilus, he does that. He does it better than anyone else because he can point to click as well to really lock up any key targets. So I like the pickup. They're going to ban away the Brom though. Smart play. It is really good into the Nautilus. It can really counter. It works very well with Varus. I like that one. I do wonder what they're going to go for though in terms of support from the side of MRG. Do they just go for the Soraka again?
Well, Soraka may be a little bit more tricky to pull out. However, Melio still up and available for the team, does give you the cleanse out of some of these big fights. Most likely going to get banned away from LLS, but there's still Aurelion Sol up and available for both teams if that doesn't want to be coming through. Most likely, even if you let it do, MRG should ban it away against you. Smart idea from LLS, are going to ban away the Soraka, but still, like I said before, Melio's open, Melio's super strong with the side of MRG, and most likely should be getting picked up.
But you know who else is open?
Who?
Aurelion Sol.
Who?
No one has banned it. It's still going to pick
open?
it. Yone banned away is by MRG as well, so maybe we see it, but maybe not first. Maybe they're still going to hold out. So like both teams haven't had super prior with it, right? They haven't been like first picking it, they haven't been going crazy for it. Ivan, I do like this pickup. I think it can aid their mid laner, it can aid their bot laner a lot as well. And we saw the proactivity it can have. Ooh, they switched the Graves. I don't know if I love the Graves pick.
The Grace wasn't really able to do anything all the way through last game. Wasn't able to find that proactivity, mostly because of how good MRG's comp was to really counteract if you're ready against something like the jungle of the Maokai. Already got the Jackson top lane. 2 champions you're not going to have most fun into, but the comfortability will be their way, as MRG are going to be going for a simple run back, swapping out their mid laners for the Aurelion Sol instead. And if they get to the late game, MRG should be winning it. So LLS are playing a very early game heavy. Now, importantly for them, their mid laner, or Painful, can actually play some early game picks. So there is a possibility for that, as MRG's last pick should be their support. A lot of options here, mostly enjoying the Melio, but we talked about Karma beforehand, as enchanters are the names of the game. Gives them a lot more speed up, a lot of disengage ability for MRG, and I'm loving this look. It feels a lot more cohesive as a team.
No, I do like it a lot. I think that the Karma going in, it makes sense. The Talia, Look, I'm not gonna lie to you, LLS, we talked about them being a little bit of a wild card sometimes. This is one of the drafts that feels like it. I don't know how I feel about that, Talia. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Graves because, in my opinion, they put two quite close range carries with the Ash, who can give a bit more range, into the Aurelion Soul. And I don't see a way they get to him because you've got to go through the Varus, Chains of Corruption, you got to get past the Maokai, and you got to get past the Jax, which proved particularly difficult in the last game. Now, I give the Talia will give a lot of agency to the backline. It will be hard to get into backline for Jax. You can't just dive over the work ground there from Talia. You know, if she does put up the pebbles, it can stop them in the tracks. But I don't see how this goes late game unless LLS build a massive lead early. I just don't see how they turn this one into their favor.
Yeah, most particularly when we take a look at everything that LLS want to do, it's a pick comp yet again. You have the Talia to roam up, does have that snappy engages on the Nautilus and the Nectar top lane to try and find these early fights. It would be so crucial to have that mid lane priority, but against the Aurelion Soul is going to be truly hard to do that, especially when Aurelion Soul can try and roam up and down. So this game's really going to come down to these mid laners to see if they can get anything done in this early game, because if this Aurelion Soul is able to shut down what Talia starting, I feel like MIG can just run away with this game when it comes to late.
Yeah, it feels like we might be getting game one similar vibes. You know, Aurelion Soul gets ahead. I don't see much of a way for LLS to come back. Okay, Renekton could get aggressive onto Aurelion Soul, could potentially lock them down, could cause some problems. But I just don't see it happening because you have to get past so many members. And yes, he could get into the backline last time. But the damage that can be done, ooh, it's hard to contend with. We'll have to see how it goes though. Maybe Bucci can find another big lead. Maybe he can really push that advantage even more. But Kaga, I feel like had a pretty suboptimal start to the game last time round. I don't see how Bucci is going to get further ahead than he was before.
Yeah, Bucci's going to have a lot more issues, I think, in this game, because even though it is still the top 2v2 matchup, Jack should hopefully play a little bit better in the early game. Kaga's now already faced him once, knows the pitfalls he has been in before, and knows that he just outscales. A little bit more safety from him, and it's going to be a lot more difficult to find the engages. However, we do need to talk about the bot lane now. We talked about how important the Sokka was last game for Vasu, about how he was able to heal up, able to use the Wish, his ultimate, to heal so many of the members up. Now on the Karma and the Vows, we'll have the ability to poke out the enemy team a little bit easier and keep them under their tower. But you have a Talia, you have ways to try and counteract this, but we're going to have to see as we're going to be getting into Game 3 of the NLC.
We are going into game 3 indeed. Who will come out ahead? Who will take themselves to series point? We will find very shortly. Cloud Dragon to kick us off. We'll see how that one does pan out. See the priority it's saying. I feel like Dragons have been quite an important component of these games. I feel like it has instilled a lot of who will win the game, realistically, as to who is claiming a lot of these Dragons. And I feel like both teams are quite willing to give them up. Do you feel like we maybe need to see a bit more contention around these Drakes?
I'd really like to see a lot of contention coming out from the side of MIG, especially when they should have constant pressure in both bot and mid. Give them great opportunities to roam first, able to pick them up. While on the opposite side, for LLS, I would actually like them to maybe wait towards this level 6 mark, wait for these big ultimates and start looking for these picks. That's truly how they will be able to do this. As MIG are actually going to get spotted out with a ward, Kago being able to place one of himself, so both junglers will be spotted out where they want to start. So most likely both teams shouldn't find anything too interesting this first part of the game.
And I guess the big question that I want to know, from last game to this game, maybe you see it differently to me, but how is Graves getting involved in this game? Because it didn't feel like Emp was really able to get into the mix a lot. He felt like he was kind of kept out of a lot of fights. He wasn't able to really dish out the damage we would expect to see. And is it different in this game? Does the Nautilus add that much value that's changed? Is the Talia setting up better? Or are we seeing maybe more creativity needed from Emp himself?
So I actually think that it's a lot better for confidence Graves to actually play, mostly because you actually have that engage. You have ways to lock down the enemy team where he can start sticking on top of them and can start really trying to pump out this damage. So remember, you're just able to hit the dredge line onto one of the enemy team, stun them up. Graves will combo down. They should most likely be dead, but as that is going to be a little bit far away in this early game. Good trades coming out from Bucci yet again. Could even be a kill.
Could have been a kill. Maybe on the second rotation, maybe going to look aggressive later on.
But so far, actually, Kaga trades back pretty nicely. He needs to be careful that the rage bar is stacked up for this. Could cause some threats. So far, though, slower game. Does slower game do better for MRG? Does it do better for LLS? Who is happy to kind of keep things just slow rolling?
Well, MRG most likely going to be the happy contenders. Because remember, the longer this game goes on, the stronger they truly will become. As even in this top lane, we can see Kaga maybe not having the best time just yet, but having some even trades in the top lane as he will outscale Bucci at the first item mark if Bucci isn't able to find the massive lead he did before. Having his wave pushed out, he should be able to look for a reset, should be pretty okay, as bot lane is going to favour over MRG yet again, just because of the range advantage. Dr. Chaos need to find a hook soon, otherwise they will just constantly start getting pushed out.
Well, the push is starting to build that CS lead as well for Shakur. In that top side, Kaga is being pushed in once again. We saw this before, we saw this last game. Dive could be a threat. I don't think it will happen anytime soon, though. Obviously, the chance of getting Sun on the tower isn't necessarily worth it. And we do have Nord in the top side, so maybe prioring a little bit more towards this Jax than to the bot side as M. Maybe even looking for his first gank. That hook could come through soon, but actually decides that they need to take a slower approach.
Yeah, but take a look at this wave pushing into MRGs. There's no real way to try and find this gank, as that vision is also going to spot out M in the bot lane, which does give an opportunity for MRG to maybe look for a top lane gank. Bucci's so healthy though, already making this mistake once, realizing that maybe they shouldn't go for the 2v1, and instead a reset will be coming out of Nord.
And I would say a much calmer game. You know? We had a lot of craziness in the game going back and forth. Pendulum was swinging. This time it feels like we're kind of in some tranquility phase, right? Everyone is kind of happy to let things play. No one is going for the crazy level ones. We're not seeing big trades from Influentic and Painful in the early game. What we do see now, actually, I mean, recurse this a bit. Going to get flung back. Influentic is being caught out here. Going to have to flash. Ignite was ticking over and has already burned the TP as well. So this time around, or actually, I should say, a repeat of last game, Influentic having a bit of a tough laning phase.
Yeah, would have actually been able to pick up that kill. However, a little bit of miscommunication coming out from the LLS side, thinking that they were still going to be running away so Nautilus doesn't land on top of that. However, still getting the flash out does mean the next gank is going to be so much stronger, and MIG pushing out this wave in the bot lane does allow Midgets to be completely safe. Nautilus coming back in the nick of time. They are going to lose any gold or XP on top of this, so great play coming out from LLS to get this small lead. We're just going to have to see if they're able to punish it in the next 5 minutes.
And is that kind of tempo that you want to see? Is that like LS needs to start pushing tempo on Influentic? Because we saw the Aurelion Soul in game 1, and I guess the question was, how do you stop it? Now Aurelion Soul got insanely ahead from very early on, as right now, wait, hold on one sec, Kaga is starting to win, but there's the level 6. Bucci has the Dominus, and it needs to be a little bit cautious from the Jax here. You don't have Grandmaster's Might, and that is a big upgrade for the Renekton. But yeah, going back to this Aurelion Soul, what is the play to stop him scaling? What is the play to stop them from getting majorly ahead? Is it play it slow, not give them kills, or is it that you need to perma-gank and force them to be behind?
Well, because you've already got the flash out of Influentic, I think it is trying to play around this mid lane. Having those crystal arrows when we get level 6 of Midget, start throwing them to this mid lane, start having drones up from the graves and even the Nautilus themselves. Really start picking them off, because we can just see how much pain the Painful is able to deal out. Being actually traded back quite well, but Influentic having a lot of trouble in this mid lane. No teleport as well to get back.
Yeah, and Talia has everything. They have the Weaver's Wall, they have the teleport, they can kind of move around the map if they want, although they have just traded out the teleport for the Ignite, looking for this kill potentially, as Emp is near the mid lane, and Influentic staying here, doesn't want to go back, doesn't want to give up pressure, doesn't want to concede levels, but does have the support of Nord, so Painful, needs to be careful. There is the star, but it's not going to be enough, not going to catch them out, and that one missing, Falling Star missing, not going to lead to any positive plays here.
And because of the roam up coming from the bot side of MRG, we'll be able to push out this wave. We'll allow a reset to be coming out from Influentic. Ultimate is finally up and available for Painful, so this is where LLS are going to be at their strongest. Level 6s and all of their members bot lane being so close to it themselves and trying to look for this play. A freeze in this bot lane is going to be also pretty crucial for this team, because they can start looking for something. As I'm just looking at this lane, constantly in this mid lane, to see where she wants to use her weavers, or where she wants to use her mobility to make these first plays.
Now, it feels like LS have adapted a little bit, right? They've gone, instead of an aggressive push into, like, just thrashing down MRG by getting lots of kills, they've kind of gone for a more subtle approach. They're going for those leads in the lanes, right? We've got a small lead from Painful, forcing back Influentic quite a lot of time. We also see a pretty large lead in the top side, by the way. Bushi is double the CS of Kaga. Is now in the bot side, though. MRG making a proactive play here, gonna get aggressive. Dr. Chaos very low, good dodge, and now with the Ignite taking over, that should be a kill, and Vaso gonna get out too. First blood in the bot lane, and MRG strike hot.
Being able to strike hot indeed, able to pick up first two tower plates of the game, but on the opposite side, LLS being able to at least be able to pick up the Retailed. Also on top of that, losing a lot of CS onto Kaga, but they may have overextended. Painful coming in.
The aggressive Nord with the follow. There's the knockback. Maybe they've saved them, but they haven't. Painful walking away. Flash forward. One auto. Shakur finds the kill. 1-for-1. But is it worth? Have they now opened up the map for Influentic? There is the star. There's the kill. And that's the first one to the Dragon. Do they look for more chaos underneath that tower? As we are going to see a trade in the top side. Kills are getting played across the map. Chaos is being burned down, but it's not going to be enough damage. They don't have the presence to get this kill underneath the tower. They will just have to back away from this one. Although Chaos is stepping very far forward there. The support versus mid lane compact. Oh, Chaos with the kill. Influencing, not respecting the damage, and goes down.
I'm not sure if we could say really well played from Dr. Chaos, or Influentic was probably taking a drink. Not looking at his monitor there. We could quickly take a look at the replay of what Painful tried to do in this bot lane. Because of the Q being the wrong way, Vaso surviving for a long bit of time. Flash forward from Shakar, was able to get it back, but take a look at Influentic going straight into the back line, making sure that they can't get away. Ultimate coming out from him, hook doesn't land, and then in top lane, EMP picking up the kill for himself and making sure that this Jax is not having a fun time. And right on the end of this, we can just see that the side of MRG are going for a little bit too much is Influentic. What do we even say at this point except for a bit of a mistake coming out there?
Oh no, he's not. Okay, he will get away this time. So he looks Chaos returning the favour. You come to my lane, I'm coming straight back, causing more problems. And all in all, LLS, like, they're starting to build a bit of a lead here. Influentic, once again, going to be forced to back away. Will get a bit more minion experience, but underneath his tower, he remains. And they are doing well to keep down this ready and soul, but obviously with that play, a lot of kills were traded, and I do feel like if we get into quite a scrappy game, if we are starting to go even, it does pay out a little bit better for MRG.
You are completely correct about that. And there's one mid lane matchup that I didn't actually talk too much about, and why it is actually so good for this Talia that I forget to mention earlier, is when Influentic is using his Dragon's Breath, where he's able to stand still into the enemy team. The most important part of that is he's standing still, which allows Talia to find an easy flip back, able to deal her full burst combo, and Influentic can basically do nothing against it. That's what makes it such a good combo. Now Dragon will be spawning in the next 15 seconds. It does look like both teams want to contest this. EMP is in a bit of danger though. Does have his mid laner with him. Grab was getting used.
Interesting from Nord. I feel like maybe a little bit too much being expended there. Not necessarily having any sort of way to really make sure that that sticks. Ultimate's now going to be down for the outback. Chaos gets that hook. Igor stepping forward is going to get caught out. Double ultimate on top of that Varus. And in comes Painful. They've taken down one. They're going to get both of the bot lane. And now they can open up for this Dragon. And talking about Dragons, no chance for Influentic to get even into that fight.
Yeah, really well played from the side of Lightside, being able to just completely shut down the Varus from doing anything. Hitting the Crystal Arrow, then using the full combo from Dr. Chaos. And this is the power of the bot lane. The amount of CC they can truly bring out just allows Painful to use the Weaver's Wall into the back line. After that first kill, able to use their numbers advantage to get more. As in the top side, Bucci not having to use the teleport to help out the team. Should be able to pick up top tower here if he wants, but Kaga coming in the nick of time to defend this.
And to be honest, I think you just take it. He almost has Dominus, which I think is the defining factor. I think if you had Dominus,
he would have just gone fully for the play. But here goes the ultimate there.
Chip damage to say the least coming out.
Tiny amount of chip damage.
We're being supportive here. We're supportive.
Potato chip damage right there. Like that's not that's not a lot to talk about. But Bucci is going to be able to chip out this tower. Goodbye first brick. And Kaga going to have to step back, and it does feel a little bit like deja vu in that top side. Once again, Kaga being forced out. This time I will actually say I think more dominantly though, because of that CS difference. And the levels up to Bucci. But across the map, Influentic not necessarily having the same power that they had in the second game there on the Azir. And Painful doing quite a bit more. But does this start to turn around? Does Talia start to fall off? Is she kind of holding her own in the moment? Or is this going to scale nicely and match this dragon still?
So I should be able to match the dragon quite well, because I talked about whenever he does use his dragon's breath, he does stand still. Doesn't matter how fast or how far ahead you are, that's still going to be very obnoxious for Influentic to try and play into. But most importantly, as we take a look at the gold, 4k gold lead from the side of LLS, mostly centralized on the AD carrier top lane, compared to the opposite side of MRG as Crystal Arrow. Great hit.
The setup. Here comes the knowledge as well.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Stun. Root.
You just can't. There's nothing that you can do against
Looks at the
that
death time, just 5 to 7 seconds of CC.
J-Real, like, what do you do at that point? You just kind of take your hands off your keyboard, accept death at that point. As the bot side Nord is trying to look for a play. Can't go
well, you flash the arrow, that's what you do. But right now, we are going to get a play aggressively. Nord is going to get a lot of damage. But look at the damage from Nidget, just absolutely burning through this Maokai. Now they will go away. Bucci going to use that TP to get in, and actually this could work out well for MRG. Oh no, but the catch, Painful was there as well. They are going to be able to pick up the kill on Tabasco. I will say the only upside to this is that Jax is pushing in the top side. He's got a little bit of time to actually get some farm and maybe even get a bit of damage onto the tower.
Yeah, but Graves in the top lane himself, picking up this Rift Herald. By the time he takes this out, he should be able to defend this top lane tower. So great play coming out from the side of LLS, getting themselves some big picks and getting themselves an even bigger lead with 6k. Teleport as well coming out with Painful is going to defend this top lane tower, even use the ultimate to look for the cut.
Knock back, Kaga in trouble. Had a bit of free time, but gets met. You talked about the Graves coming up. There's the kill secure from M.
I'm more of a kill still type guy, especially spam pinging them when I'm playing mid lane or AD carry. But no, really well played coming outside of LLS there. Even contested for more, but teleports in the back.
And M this time maybe a little bit too far. He's going to be able to jump away. Nice usage of these cones, and will be able to get out of this situation. Slowed down by the Iranian Soul. They're committing. They're going for this. They want the big play. They're going to be able to get the Talia. They are in stasis. The burn is going to catch them, and that is going to be one back into Influentic. And it's plays like this that LLS cannot afford, right? They cannot start to give free kills back to MRG. I don't believe it's going to change the whole game right now. But as we talked about, if Influentic gets into the game, if he starts to become a problem, it could be over. Now the scaling, obviously on the Jax, much slower. What time frame are we thinking about? Can they fight this next dragon? Can they fight the one after that? Well, when does MRG come back into the game?
I think you should most likely fight for this third dragon, even though it probably isn't going to go the best for you. You still have a lot of poke damage on secure. You still have Influentic that can be a huge beast if you're able to give him that space. But dragon in the next minutes, we're going to have to see what data side of Rift Herald will be placed in the mid lane. Should be able to pick up this tower without any contest coming out from MRG, as they will be getting a lot more gold into their pocket, and most importantly, opening up this map, allowing the side of LLS to push their wards even more. It's pushy.
He is getting into a fight with Kaga. 2 levels up, flashes forward, dashes in. Kaga able to stay alive for a little bit longer, but here comes M. Goodbye. And the Graves doing a lot more in this game. Has been around the map, has been proactive, has been able to make plays, being aggressive in the jungle, forcing Maokai down. Levels up 2 is this Graves. And getting proactively around these Drakes as well. A much faster pace from LLS. We talked about the early game prowess. We talked about them being ahead of the map. They are doing it right here, right now. How do they close though? Dragon coming up in 9 seconds. Surely they pick this one up. But where do we start to see this? Is it a 4-1, a 1-3-1? What play around objectives? What's your call?
I think it's mostly try to play around these side lanes for as long as possible, because you still have a little bit of time before Kaga can contest Bucci, so try and use that as much as possible, especially as well with Painful with Influentic as well, and because they've been doing that all the way through the game, they will be able to pick up their third dragon of the game, which is going to be the Infernal Dragon, and that is a perfect dragon for them to get, because when they get the soul, the amount of extra damage they are going to get on their burst is going to be so useful the longer this game goes on. And as well, one thing we wanted to talk about is really well played to EMP, because we kind of had doubts of him earlier on. Like you wanted to mention about how well he played this time, we thought that the Graves wasn't a good pick, but he is showing us up by making this work, being 3 and 0 respectively, already having that Blade of Drakthar, already having the Dirk, Paper's looking for more.
He is getting aggressive. Bucci there as well. Jagor is just not having a fun time, and tossed back is Vaso into the danger zone. Should be picked up shortly as Emp just forcing people away from being in the jungle. And I think this is the difference in this game, right? They've been able to consistently be aggressive across the map, and they've therefore pushed down any sort of resistance coming out from MRG, which we are finally going to see some in shape or form in the top tower being taken down. But they've just kept the consistency, and they've not given any ins back for MRG. Look at the gold lead. They are 8k gold up. They have 3 extra dragons. It's only 18 minutes into the game. The leads are exorbitant. And if we have a little look at the solo gold as well as Kaga, he's just going to be, well, I say he's going to run. He's now stepping forward to Emp. This is not the play. He should just try and leave the vicinity, but I don't know if he's going to be allowed to, because, well, Dr. Chaos is coming as well. This might have been, you had one chance to get out and you're not getting another, although jump will get him to safety, and he will finally walk away. Yeah, they've just been very consistent. If we get a look at the gold now, everywhere across the board, they are just so far ahead.
There's almost a 5,000 gold difference in both top laners. Bucci being an absolute monster, not just in game 1 and game 2, but in game 3 as well. Of course, in the jungle as well, 3,000 gold lead on top of that, and it's just going all the way of LLS. And this really shows when they do have themselves an 8,000 gold lead. And talking about side lanes, really well played from both of the members on the side of Lightside.
Now, MRG, how do they come back into this game? It is the question, because they are behind. They are falling back as, oh, here comes the arrow. Shakur in trouble, doesn't have a leg to stand on, gets picked up, and now Vaso trying to buy time. I think, oh, I thought was going to get away with the flash forward there from Painful. It's too much. Collateral damage will pick that one up, and then the tree is going to fall, cut down to size, and Baron is the prize.
Baron will be the prize for them, as it's just played perfectly by the side of Lightside. And you said about how MRG get back into this, and that's by trying to stop these big engages coming out from the Lightside. But how do you really do that when there's so many different engage tools? Baron finally going to be picked up for them. Bucci and Painful on these side lanes are going to be so abusive now, as everybody will be going for their resets, expecting a 1-3-1 to come out from everybody. Teleports are going to be up and available for both of the side laners, as I've just noticed Painful's gone for Spellbook out of all runes.
Yeah, they've been switching up the runes. You know, they've had Flash Ignite, they've had Flash TP, now have Ghost TP. I don't know how much Ghost is used on Talia, but actually sounds pretty good. Like, I feel like your chase potential would be quite wild. And I want to ask you how they chop up these lanes, right? Do they go 1-3-1? Do they go 1-4? Because obviously Talia really good at getting into these fights, and we've seen them oftentimes, has TP as well, and obviously Bucci 5k gold ahead, not going to be contested by Jack. So unless they send Influentic, who also is going to have some problems dealing with the Renekton, they can't really just hold off one. So are you expecting 1-3-1? Are you expecting 1-4? As we do have the Dragons spawning in 50 seconds.
I think 1-3-1 is going to be the best opportunity for them. It's exactly how they're playing. Painful getting a bit of poke off.
Nord is just getting absolutely removed from the game. A couple autos, the collateral damage, the Graves is different. I don't know if you put incendiary rounds in this match, but this time around, Graves is hitting and they are going down. Maybe it's got axe bullets or something. Who knows? But either way, super effective against the Maokai. That's going to be one killed. And I thought they might just go straight towards this dragon, but they're willing to keep pressing this one forward. Bucci on the TP, going to step up. Here is the jump in from Painful. The Weaver's Wall giving them an in, and they take down the tier 2 tower. They're looking for the tier 3. Could we potentially be seeing the aim of end of the game?
Well, there's still 25 seconds on both the bot laners of MRG. Barreling down this mid wave, having the Baron as well, there's definitely a possibility of them doing this. However, most likely expecting them to try and go for this spawn inhibitor, pick themselves up the dragon, and get themselves a safe ending to this game.
Yeah, 2 inhibs down, dragon on the cards, Renekton potentially pushing the top wave as well. It all seems very picturesque and perfect. They're not going to get this stat. They're not going to get the inhib. They're not going to get the second. But it isn't going to matter. It's not going to put a rain on their sunshiny day because they are just having a whale of a time, right? They are 14k in the lead, 22 minutes in, and it's just getting worse. It's just getting worse. Look at the damage. Nord is down. Goodbye, Graves. It's my jungle, not yours. And this dragon is going to fall as well. Influentic, maybe you get the power steal. Maybe you get the synergy bond between the dragons. Nope, nope, you're going to get knocked up. And here comes the big lizard, the supreme reptile. It is him, Renekton, alive again. Bucci, slicing and dicing, culling the meat. They get the dragon. I think this is game over.
You made it sound like a WWE character. The Renekton. The crocodile comes into the back line, able to pick up the third game for LLS. Does he have a skin line?
No, he has lots of skins, but where is the WWE Renekton? We got the Gnar, we got the Volley Bear. Because right now he's ready to rumble. Ding, ding, ding. Here we go. Watch out, watch out, watch out, because LLS are taking this 2-1 in the series. They are 1 away from picking this one up. A very, very convincing win. Fastest of the series so far. 24 minutes of just pure power from LLS.
Yeah, to be honest, great game.
Get the drawing board out.
Genuinely incredible game coming out from LLS. And you know they wasn't that close at the end when we start talking about WWE characters and this Renekton skin. But no, great play coming out from them. And I have to say, the full team playing extremely well. MRG having a few plays, especially towards this bot lane in the early game where they were able to find that lead, but it just kind of dwindled out. This Renekton in the top lane is a monster, and Bucci is playing the game of his life, I swear. But most importantly,
call him Godzilla. The way he's the king of monsters. The way he's the king of monsters, call him Godzilla. Like that's all I can say. He's just dominating, and I don't really know what you do to stop that unless you send lots of ganks. You know, it's you got a couple of options. Play something really safe and just don't give up lane, or get starved out. Because either way, this is the thing. The difference between game 2 and game 3 for me is it wasn't about the Renekton getting kills. It wasn't about Bucci just diving and getting the kills onto Kaga. He starved him from farm. He was double his CS for a lot of the game. And how do you counteract that? To be honest, if I'm NRG, I pick something that Kaga doesn't need to really scale on. He's just going to be useful all the time, and I play around the rest of the map.
Yeah, well, we tried to see that in the first game of the Ornn. Still got massively counteracted by the Renekton. So most likely will be a ban in the next game. Because you have to remember, if MRG lose this here, they're not just out, they are fully out of contention for getting themselves into Division 1. So it's super important that they pick up the win here compared to Lightside, where if they win here, they have a very high possibility, I do believe, of getting themselves not to just the grand finals, but to Division 1 itself.
Well, who knows? We're going to have to find out. We are going to throw to a short break. When we come back, is it LS's time to shine? Will they pick up the win and take themselves to the final? You'll have to find out. Stay tuned. Hello, we are back, and well, it's going to be an interesting draft. Let's say that. We've talked about this Renekton potentially being banned. I think there were just a lot of answers that LLS had to the picks that MRG were going to play, and it makes a lot of sense as to why they didn't ban away the Aurelion Soul. And also, shout out to Emp, right? I wasn't sure about this Graves. I wasn't sure how it would go. Turns out, it goes pretty well. He was able to get onto the map. He was able to be proactive. He was able to get his experience on this pick shown and really start to dominate. And I feel like that's what we wanted to see a little bit more. I don't know about you. Were there any other shouts that you kind of wanted to have from the side of LLS?
LLS, go to the top lane. Crocodile King Bushi being able to just absolutely dominate all 3 games of that champion. If that gets through, big mistake coming out from the side of MRG. The only way I can see them guys do is if they have an incredible counter for it, but through the whole entire season, nobody's really had a major counter for it, so we're just going to have to see what's going to be up with that. And even with that, the bot lane doing very well, EMP, even mid lane on the Talia being able to pop off against the Aurelion Soul, especially being able to find those big Weaver's walls into the backline, able to make it so much easier for the team to do it. But to be honest, well played to the whole of LLS in the last time. But MRG, remember, they're still not out of it at all. They only need to win 2 more games and they'll be in the finals. But if they lose one, they are going to be out of contentions.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more difficult. LLS are on match point. They could close the series out with 1 more game, but can they do it? So far, it's felt like early game for them has been key, right? If they can get far enough ahead that they can just snowball the rest of the game, that has been their win condition. We saw it in game 1 with the Aurelion Soul being too far ahead. We saw it in game 2 in game 3 with everyone being too far ahead. In game 2, though, we saw a little bit more bite back from MRG. They were able to take away the opportunities that LLS had. And I will say I think that was the biggest difference for me between 2 and 3, was that LLS, there were moments where they almost overextended too much. But then they were able to keep it cool. They were able to keep it drawn back. They were able to play the fights properly. And then they just smothered MRG into a loss that was inevitable. And I want to see if they decide to draft like again. Or maybe MRG bring a little bit more early game themselves.
So they have plenty of time to try and figure this out. MRG, I would actually like some more early game. And we were talking about it behind the scenes. I believe it's going to be an explosive game coming out from both of these teams. Most likely the MRG side. Because first couple games, it feels like MRG are just waiting back, allowing the enemy team to kind of do what they want. But now, maybe this is the chance where they are going to be the ones to the front foot, the ones to make these plays. Because that's where I really believe MRG are at their strongest, where they're the ones to decide when to go for these fights.
Yeah, when they can be proactive in the team fights, they can really just turn the game on its head. I think that they have really good 5v5 synergy. I think they've shown it a lot in some of these games, but it's just been a situation where in that last game, they were just too far behind for that to even matter, right? It doesn't matter how strong you are if you're getting one shot anytime you step near the enemy. So realistically, they need to keep the games a little bit closer. I do agree with that. They need to basically close out that difference. How do they do it though, right? If they don't ban away the Renekton, we might see it picked early. Oh, we're already there. We're already into the pick. Okay, here we go. They banned it away. Nas come out. Rumble was also banned away. They have left up Rakan and they've left up LeBlanc as well.
Those are 2 power picks that Lightside have decided not to pick up just yet. Instead, picking up the Nolan Bucci, going to do pretty well into the Cassante, having the amount of movement speed, having the amount of range to make it where he doesn't have as much kill as he usually does. Also picking up the Ashe, as it still does feel like they want to go for this pick comp, but instead MRG left open the Aurelion Soul. But why does it matter when you're going to be able to pick up the Talia? So great roam potential coming out from the teams.
Yeah, an interesting lock in there. I'm surprised they've gone for it so early. Maybe they're trying to flex it between jungle and mid. I don't know if it's necessarily assured into the solo lane itself. We'll have to still see as the rest of the drafters come through. Jinx being hovered. Now, we haven't seen Kai'Sa. Yeah, we haven't seen Kai'Sa at all. And we're not going to see her again, right? So maybe if we go to game 5, maybe we see it. But Jinx on the board. How are you feeling about that? Because it's one we haven't seen in many times. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it hasn't been played too much recently. I know that Lightside played it once.
Well, I actually believe the Jinx is an okay option here. Of course, it's better than the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa's not really going to have much fun, especially into the comp of LLS, which are going to be so long range against it. So Jinx does give you that late game power that you truly need. And by the way, the Vaso has been playing, going to have most likely an enchanter with it. On top of that, maybe even a Lulu's coming out where they can mostly play for this bot side to get themselves maybe the Maokai as their jungler. They could go for just a simple raise the puppy comp. Instead of a Kog'Maw, they just saw in a Jinx instead.
I like it. I like the thinking. We never know. We might see it. You know, chances have worked at MRG. This Raka worked out well. Why not Lulu? Why not throw that in there? See if it sticks. But so far, bans coming through from the side of MRG. They're going to start taking away some of the mid laners, trying to take out maybe some of the competitors that could deal with Talia. I like the Melio ban coming out there from LLS, and they also took away the Malphite because there is obviously the chance that maybe Influentic actually takes Xante into the mid lane. Who knows? It may not be a top lane pick after all.
May not be a top lane pick, but they still have plenty of other options to come up. Sejuani, a champion who's got the whole entire way through the picks and bans that we haven't talked too much about. Going to be an incredible engage tool for the team, especially with that Frozen Tomb. Also, on top of that, just a big beefy tank for the front line if they want to pick it up. Instead, actually going for the pick comp in a even more aggressive fashion. Instead of picking up the Graves, going to be picking up the Kha'Zix, which if a Crystal Arrow does land onto the enemy team, most likely they're just going to get instantly tapped.
But what about Silas?
Could be interesting. Opportunity for
get Silas top. If Kaga plays it, it's really good into Gnar. They could move the Xante to mid, go to Leah jungle if they wanted. I don't know if they're going to do it. We'll see if it goes through. The Leona they picked up. I like the Leona. It's set up for the Jinx. It's not necessarily the supportive style that you kind of mentioned a little bit before, similar to the Kog'Maw style, but it does allow you to get into fights. It does allow you to give some opportunity to your team to actually start these fights off, as we see the last pick being hovered. It's going through a couple of rotations there. A few lanes were kind of mentioned with these picks, but so far it feels like they're settling for a tank in the top side, which does mean Xante is going to be moving into that mid lane, and they have locked in the ult.
Well, welcome to MRG. Jinx is the carry. Jinx dies, basically out of contention. So we're going to have to see if they will be able to feed that Jinx in this early game, as LLS are deciding they want to pick up the Aurelion Soul. We did see it absolutely get battered by a mid laner beforehand, but we're going to just have to see if they want to. Yeah, do they want to put it into the Talia? Seems like they actually want to. It does have some good roam potential.
No, but it's not Talia. It's Xante mid.
Oh,
unless
I
you're playing
completely
Xante
forgot.
Jungle, which I've never seen. Like,
yeah, I completely forgot. That makes this mid lane pick a lot more acceptable. As I'm seeing both these teams coming out, I'm still mostly enjoying the side of LLS, as they will have opportunities to find these pick potentials, but a lot of the champions on the side of MIG are going to be really tanky, so it's going to be hard to try and thread those needles onto the main carry of Jinx, but if they're able to do that, it will be lights out for MIG.
and the other thing as well, right? We saw it in game 1. Aurelion Soul burns through tanks, right? And we're talking Amaterasu here. This fire does not go out. It's not stopping. They will burn until they die. And unless they can manage to kill off the Aurelion Soul, control them in the earlier stages, like we saw in game 3, then there is no option for them to really kill off this Aurelion Soul. Because look, Jinx has a lot of range, right? But not more than Aurelion Soul. Xante could go all out, could take them into an up close and personal battle, but Aurelion Soul could also just jump away again. Now, there are ways to pick up the kill. There are definitely a lot of lockdown utility there. You do have the Ornhorn, you do have the Solar Flare, you do have the Talia, who we obviously shown really, really, really strong against this dragon. But we're focusing all this energy and time on the dragon, and then you've still got to think about, there's a Kha'Zix in the game, and you have one carry that's squishy. They also, or sorry, 2 carries that are squishy. You also have an Ashe that can deal a lot of damage from the range. And you have the Gnar, who can set up well in the team fight, partnered with that Nautilus, who's going to cause big problems for your backline. MRG could do it, but it's a tough game, and they have to be ahead from the start.
Definitely going to be a tough game for them to try and get through. However, if there's one team to do it, MIG are going to be the team to try and defend it, because the way they got themselves into this position was playing these late game carries, was having that AD carry be a lot more defensive and carrying them during the late game. And I've never seen a comp more utilized towards them. However, it is going to be really hard against LLS, who really felt like they found their stride in these last 2 games.
LLS, the war-battered team from the playoffs. They played many a stage to get here, all the way through the losers bracket to get to this losers bracket final to take on MRG, the ones that sent them down here Will they get revenge right here, right now? We will have to find out because the teams are on the Rift. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm excited for this game. MRG, do or die. Can they find the wins? How do they find the wins?
Well, that's only a answer that everybody on the side of MIG can answer for you. This is do and die. We are going to keep harping on it because MIG have come so far to get to this point. They were, I believe, third place in the regular season. First is already in the finals. So we're going to have to see if they will be able to pick up the win. And it all comes down really to Secure. Is he going to be able to have the damage for the team? So everything needs the hard focus around him as Nord on this Talia jungle site that we haven't seen too much about. Needs to be quite careful where they're able to position themselves. Mostly important that when you're against a member like EMP, side like this Kha'Zix, if you're able to get misjudged by just a little bit and you find yourself in an isolated one-on-one, Kha'Zix is going to be winning that.
Yeah, very different vibes coming out from Nord. We've known them as a tank player. We've seen them play the Maokai. We've seen them play the Nunu, the Rels, all of those picks. Now on the Talia, a little bit more aggressive. We'll see how that one works out for them. And on this Kha'Zix, I think could have a really interesting game, right? Because the isolation is going to be quite important. I don't imagine Jinx is alone very often in this game. So I do wonder how they're going to kind of aggress both Nord and Shakur, who will be the main targets for them. But we'll have to see how that one works out a little bit later. Because what I want to get into is the bot lane, right? We talk about not seeing the Jinx too often. How does the Jinx match up into this bot?
Well, Jinx should most likely have push pressure into the bot lane because of her rocket form, allows her to push this out super fast as possible, as well as her support to Leona to be able to support her. So most likely I'm expecting this Jinx just to be stacking two waves with each other, constantly pushing it under the tower and trying to poke out as much as possible. The only time they kind of need to be scared is when Kha'Zix is down here, but they do win the 3v3 if they play it correctly. We're just going to have to see how MIG are going to play this.
And push in, they do. Perfectly to your plan. They're going to keep this one shoved in. We'll see if that does open up, though, for some ganks. Obviously, Emp was quite proactive in the early stages last game. And also, one thing I want to think about as well is the Dragon. Right? We talked about it a little bit in the last game about how they've been really important, how stacking them has just basically caused massive pressure. Now, LLS didn't lose a single Drake last game. They were able to get a lot of proactive plays, get an early soul point. And do you feel like that's going to be the game plan as well? Obviously, because it's notoriously good at taking them souls.
I definitely think it's a possibility for them as MIG have gone for a early gank towards this mid lane. There's actually a possibility for Zaso to flash over that wall and get the flash out painful, but not noticing he was there, will be walking up, allowing Influentic to push this out, and now everybody around this bot side is going to be making sure that this Rift held, or sorry, the Skullcraft does actually go over to Nord. And this is a good play from MIG, because even though the jungler isn't here, they know they can't leave him in an isolated one-on-one, especially when you're on this Kha'Zix.
Yeah, there are ways to play, right? Because Kha'Zix does have to get up close and personal with the Talia. And obviously, if you do have the Unraveled Earth, you can cause some problems. But I do agree, it is safer to just make sure that they are secured. Talking about safer and secured, it does feel like we aren't getting the same kind of level of lead built up in this top side, which is a much blessed thought and blessed sound for the side of MRG. Kage is still going to get aggressed on by Bucci, but it's not the crazy leads that we've seen previously.
Yeah, it feels like a welcome sight for any MRG fan, making sure that whatever he is on this connection, it just doesn't feel as strong as mid lane. Good damage coming out from Influentic, and we can just see the bullying that should be coming out in the early game against this Aurelion Soul, because Influentic is playing one of those Bruiser S champions that can get a shield. Painful doesn't really deal too much damage just yet, needs to get those items for anything that will happen. So MIG are going to be in a good position in this early game, as there seems to be a little bit of a change in this bot side, as MIG are going to be trying to start a freeze in this bot lane. However, this wave is just too big, we'll be getting pushed up pretty shortly, so we need to make sure the North does roam down for them. But fortunately, Nidget was able to clear the way for them, so they should be able to keep the wave here for a little bit longer.
Oh, they are going to start pushing that one back. And so far, proactivities from junglers not really been too much, but it's a much better laning phase right now for Influentic. And I think the big takeaway that we felt in games like 2 and 3 especially was Influencing was just getting bullied out a lot, and we're seeing it again. The tower shot adding in there. That's a lot of damage, and now Nord talking about a lot of damage. It's going to be faced with quite some. There's the slash, the flash, and M picks up first blood.
Mid jungle just showing their priority in this game because of the kill going over onto Nord. It does mean the Dragon should be able to start for free, and you mentioned before about how good he is at taking the solo, and that's exactly what he's starting by MRG having the priority in the bot lane. Could have maybe looked for the contest, but Dr. Chaos walking straight back after him and Painful coming down should mean that this first Dragon Soul should be going over to the side of LLS.
And are you at all worried about MRG, right? It's very early doors. I'm not saying anything crazy is going to go down, but the fact that we are starting to see similar patterns of play, with the fact that LLS are winning in the top lane, they're starting to cause problems in the jungle. Emp has already managed to find 1 kill onto Nord, and the bot lane is weathering the storm of being pushed in. Is there maybe loomings of the fact that, okay, MRG needs to change tempo a little bit here, or are we saying actually, you know what, it's way too early for that?
They need to try their best to try and keep it as safe as that. It's going to be an engage, and nothing's going to come of it just yet, as Nord is looking for this bot lane, and I think that's exactly what they have to do. They have to try and start a free bot lane, try and look for these games, to try to make sure that Jinx gets ahead, because by the way it's going, LLS
oh no, all out going to be used. Influencing maybe have got enough space. There is the stun though, 1 more bit of damage would have done it, but Influencing is going to stay alive. He will not go down. It's not doing enough at the moment, but give it a little bit of time, and that Radiant Soul is really going to be causing problems. There's talking about problems in the bot lane. We are seeing another trade occur. Nidget and Dr. Chaos just having their pick of these fights and making such big leads for themselves in terms of the HP deficit onto that Leona. Now sure going to feel the brunt of the Nautilus hook in, and damage is raining down from the Ash. Flash away, will get out safely. They do have the support of Kaga. Why is Kaga here? But the Ornhorn going to come through. Dr. Chaos able to dodge it, but now Leona going aggressive. Basso is going to get hooked in and take it down. Dr. Chaos back in, but Nidget might finally fall. Kaga picks up the kill, but they killed off Shakur as well. What is happening in the bot lane? Why was Kaga there? But it's a 2 for 2 still.
And that's actually a decent play coming out from him because of the towers coming near him. Nord, nearby.
Oh, here we go. Nord stepping up. Bucci gonna try and get away from this one. Flashes out. 1 more stone, maybe. Not gonna connect. And Bucci is out alive. What a play. Actually ended up being a 2 for 1, sorry, in that bot lane, and now it's just on once again. But this time, MRG, the aggressors, they pick up the kill onto Painful.
I mean, it's still an overall win coming out from LLS, being able to pick up a kill on the Ash, another kill on the Nautilus, and being able to lose a big wave on the bot side for this Jinx. They're going to be pretty happy if they have side up this Dragon in the top side for MRG, but I'm loving this snapback that MRG are doing. This feels like a team that is wanting to win, but they are able to finally finish off that Rift Herald. Bot lane's able to push out the bot wave as well, as the gold lead is only 400, so we have 5 kills in 8 minutes.
So, yeah, it felt like a very slow game, and then it just really ramped up. People were just like, yo, 0 to 60, let's go, 3.5. As right now, Emp, no way, no way. He gets the buff. Will he get the steal? Oh, the communication. I think if that had been commed, that could have been a good buy to Shakur. That would have been another nice one for Emp to pick up, but he will not. And I want to talk about this. He's upgraded the claws. He's gone for the aggressive one, not going for the slow, not going for the leaps. Claws. That's where the plan is.
I mean, you saw how much damage he did before the claws were taken out. Now let's see how much he can burst Nord out. As we can see, Influentic not having the most amount of fun against Painful in this mid lane. All Influentic needs to make sure is that when his Q3 does come up with this stun, whenever Influentic starts putting his work towards him, start trying to look for those fights. This bot lane is going to be constantly pushed out from LLS because of the craft coming up the Ziggs. Dragons also spawned in 1 minute 15, and LLS are doing a really good job at trying to stop these games.
Oh, Bucci in a bit of trouble here. Ignite's taking over. Kaga's trying to look for this chase here. The damage might be there. No transformation. And Kaga, he's done it. He's got the solo kill on the top side. The Ornn versus the Gnar picks up that one. A big dub for him. A little bit of celebration there. And right now, MRG going to go aggressive straight on to the bot lane, and they have support. It's a 3 versus 2. Nidget, though, going to just say, I'm going to go aggressive, but gets slammed down. And MRG have found openings. They found ways back into the game, and they're starting to close one out. And I want to say this. So far, right, we've seen a bit of trading in the mid lane. We've seen Influentic, though, being able to survive Aurelion Sol. What are we expecting build-wise is... Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. We are getting a hook into this tower. Vasco taking a lot of damage, but not going to go down. Got Chaos doing his best. Herald is going to charge. We'll get taken off. But yeah, what's the build that we're expecting out of this Aurelion Sol?
Oh, what's that?
Hold on. We'll talk about this build in a sec, because right now, he's getting a bit stronger. Okay, Kill going to go to the Sol. Kill in the mid lane as well, as then makes a gank onto Influentic. And I'll finally give you the question. Wait, break it all down. Let's break it all down.
Break it all down. Where do we even start? Kills on kills on kills, but we can take a look at where the gold has been allocated, most importantly. On top of this, Dragon has also been started in the jungle. This should be the second one over to LLS as a double kill onto this Kha'Zix, already finishing the Dust Blade, going to be super strong in a lot of these major fights. With 1 kill apiece on everybody near the bot side, compared to the side of MRG, where there's 1 kill each. Everybody's just constantly fighting. No major lead for anyone just yet. Teleports in the top side.
Teleports to the top side. Influentic going to join. Going to make sure the Bushi can't get aggressive with Kaga once again. And oh, the rotations have been insane. We've had Kaga in the bot lane. We've had roams from Bushi in the mid lane with M. Everyone's just happily to move around the map, right? But we do have 2 dragons onto LLS. They're stacking those up. Another Infernal Soul will be on the Rift. Oh no, sorry, it's a Chemtech Soul. Sorry, I was being baited by the old Chemtech Dragon there. As right now, LLS, they're going to just try and maybe chill it out in the bot lane, but it is going to be an aggressive one from Bushi once again in the top side. Looking for the slam. Not going to land it though. Nice Billow's Breath will stop him from getting CC'd, and Kaga will be able to walk away. Yeah, so now back to my question that I tried to ask like 3 times now. Aurelion Sol build. Where are we looking? Because there's a lot of tanks for MRG, and previously they did go Ludens.
Well, I don't think Ludens is really going to be the option into the enemy team. Of course, you do want to try and kill the Jinx. However, Liandry's Torment is going to be the much better option. That extra bit of burn there against these big tanks should allow you to try and get through them. Maybe a Shadow Flame afterwards, give you a little bit of tankiness. Most importantly, getting you that magic pen you truly need to start trying to get through these big tanks. So the way I'm seeing LLS play is, yes, you need to kill the Jinx, but that isn't paying for his job. His job is to try and get through this front line as fast as possible.
We'll see if that does come to fruition, as right now, picked up the Liandry's, got that slowing, so maybe going to make it a little bit more easy for them to kind of kite out Influentic, but we will have to double check in on that a little bit later, as it does seem like Ash picking up the pace a little bit, got the Kraken Slayer now, able to do a bit more damage, as the Jinx hasn't gone back just yet, but they're going aggressive here. Leona straight under the tower, but has run into Nidget. There's the stun, and this is surely going to go down. Dr. Chaos gets it with the Ignite, so it is going to be 1 kill back onto that support, but a nice punish from LLS.
Yeah, a little bit too far coming out from this Leona. It was a great idea trying to use the ultimate to stun them up, but after it misses, a great hook from Dr. Chaos against the wall does allow him as Bucci in danger.
Kaga going aggressive here now. It is Mini Gnar, but he is stacking that Rage Bar, trying to kite away from Kaga here, and able to do enough. Now just trading back as in the bot lane. Sure, taking a lot of damage. Not going to get hooked there, minion. Going to play it safe. We'll keep them in this one as now. No way! No way! No way did we just see that. The falling star. How do you dodge that?
I don't think you can. It feels like one of those champions where you should be able to jump over it, but you just can't do it because, of course, you cannot.
Are we playing Elden Ring, like with these AoE? Like, where was my dodge? Where was the roll button in that game?
Yeah, the few minutes of invulnerabilities, the only thing you have is maybe a Zhonya's to dodge that. Otherwise, the kill is going to go to Painful. Really smartly played from him. Not even going anywhere near him to pick up the kill. And because of the kill onto one of the main carries, it does allow them to try and maybe look for this Rift Herald yet again. Bucci having to clear up in the top lane. No ultimate available for Kaga, so should have constant push for at least the near future, as it has finally been started up from Kha'Zix.
Again, BT is starting to find their moment, and are we starting to see the ramp of Painful? We're seeing the Herald be picked up here by M. Has been very good on these neutral objectives in these last 2 games, controlling all of the dragons. The last 6 have gone his way, maybe even more, but I will keep count on the that. As right now, Pega is going to be run on. This is rough. If they give another kill to the dragon, oh, it is. It's another one to Painful. And that is exactly what he's going to be causing for the rest of the enemy team. As Influentic going to step up, but EMP is able to get away. Nice bit of dodging there. But back on the bot lane though, MRG have pushed this up quite far, right? We talk about kind of trading objectives, getting some wins onto the map, and Vaso now going to go aggressive underneath the tower onto Nidget. There's the rocket! And they will be able to pick up the kill onto the ADC. Vaso though, I believe, oh, not going to go down. The depth charge is going to knock them up. Hook, maybe. Does it land? Dr. Chaos, can you get it? Gets the pullback. Oh, no, no. Vaso tries to get away. He tries to get this slow, but it's given over to the dragon.
Aurelian's sort of starting to become a huge issue. While in the top lane, there seems to be a solo bolo coming out yet again. So we're going to have to see if we have a replay of that moment to see exactly what happens. Dragon is also spawning in the next 30 seconds, and because of that kill, it should mean that LLS should be in a good position to try and contest this. Influentic 10-15 seconds out from this. I don't think there's any way to do it. There should be just a free, at least a soul coming out from LLS.
So you're saying give third, play for fourth.
Yeah, but let's quickly take a look at top lane real quick. Pucci in the top lane, being able to hit them straight into the wall, and it's kind of over from here. Influentic using the all-out, has to stun up, does actually land it, but Pucci just being too tanky against it. Flash forward W, and it's just over from here. One more auto attack instead, using the Q. Bang, there we go. Being able to pick that up.
Doesn't miss. Talk about doesn't miss. Emp doesn't miss a dragon these last 2 games. That's another one to pick up. Soul point now on the cards. The Chemtech Soul is their prize to claim. Let's see if they do pick that one up in the next 5 minutes. But MRG much closer in this game, right? It's 3k gold differential between these 2 teams. But are we starting to be a bit worried about Painful? How do we kill Painful is the question.
Level 11 on him, already got 1.5 items. The ultimate isn't going to be as strong as you want to, not having enough star stacks as he wants, as we can just see Bucci having an incredible time here.
Damage? Hello? Oh, he's going to be Omega. He's going to get aggressive. He's going to slam against the wall, and now he jumps on top. Kaga gets away. The stun lands onto Talia. They kill them. No, with damage, able to pick this one up, and now in the mid lane, Nidget trying to take this one down. Leona goes, and there's the claws slice straight through the Jinx.
Yeah, getting some gold into his pocket yet again. 1 kill on Jinx. Sorry, 1 kill on the AD carry, 1 kill onto your jungle of Kha'Zix. Driftheld also getting placed towards this mid lane, able to pick up this tower, opening up this map just even more, and that's going to be so crucial to allow this Kha'Zix to get even more of a lead, because then they can go to the enemy jungle. They can be a lot more sneaky. As while this all happened, Painful in this bot lane has been able to push out this wave, been able to farm up quite happily, and to be expected after this base, should maybe be able to finish next item. We'll have to see. Doesn't look like he's just there, only a second away, but he's waiting in base.
Waiting in base for it. It's a smart play. They're not on anything they need right now tempo-wise. They can't just run out and claim a thing. There's no pressure being applied from MRG. Baron not up, Dragon not up for another 3 minutes as well. So we will see. I think we're going to have a bit of a slower stage right now. I think we are just going to have a little bit of a chill moment, because outer towers are taken except for the bot lane, so we expect Bucci to kind of push that one in. And right now MRG, they're mounting an attack onto this mid tier 1. I think it's going to be quite difficult for them to take it away from the hands of LLS, because they have a lot of kill threat, they have a lot of wave clear, they have a lot of pick potential, Dr. Chaos as well. So a lot of respect needs to be shown from MRG, and they do not want to keep feeding this dragon. Dragons are hoarders, gold, kills, items. It all filters in to what they want, as right now, Influencer gets a bit of a scrap with Bucci. We've seen this before though. Needs to be careful this now.
Yeah, this Gnar's actually starting to get really strong already. Finished that Trident performance for themselves, but look at EMP. In this backline is actually going to get spotted out. Did have the ultimate to try and stay invisible for it, but Great Shrire's Bloom coming out from Secure will actually secure his life for just a little bit longer. BMP is still hunting around as much as possible, as this Baron has finally spawned for them.
Oh, maybe we misread this. Bucci, you gotta watch out. Influentic with the power play looking very, very strong. Another one of those tanks that can kind of do it all with the Ornn. As right now it's going to be picked up here. Kaga in a lot of trouble. Will use the Ornn Horn, doesn't get the knockup though, and that is an easy kill between the jungle and mid duo. Emp and Painful just slicing through that health bar. And does this open up for the Baron? We are seeing the 4v4, the rotations, the TP from Influentic as well. I think they are going to stop them from doing Baron, but Influentic might go aggressive here.
Yeah, I don't think they're looking for the Baron. Instead, they're just trying to defend this mid lane tower.
They are indeed. In goes Nord there. Weaver's Wall Influentic though has managed to focus. Oh, Chaos! Jumps back in. Almost managed to get straight onto Nichi, but now here comes the Dragon. Here comes the danger. They need to be careful of. Good flash away from Vassal will get them out of hook range. But look at the burn! Look at the breath of light. Influentic pulled out slightly. Not being chased down just yet. Hook going to go slightly short, and Bucci is here. But I think they are going to be clear. They are going to be walking away. But 53 seconds has this fight given MRG maybe a little bit too little time to get ready for this Dragon, although bases are coming from all around.
Yeah, you talk about bases, but take a look at what has been expended from both of these teams. Painful Nidget, both of the carries on the side of LLS don't have their summoners up. Neither does Secure, Influentic, or Nord. So no flashes up for anyone on any team except for Bucci. So there's going to be no major plays coming out as well. Secure and Vassal won't have their ultimates up and available for this fight. And that's going to be huge from the side of LLS, who will have all of their ultimates up and available. Most importantly, they have the Crystal Arrow. They can try and find a pick before this fight even starts.
MRG, I like this play from them. They're getting aggressive with it. They're setting up already. They're getting in position. They're trying to make it hard for LLS to get into this pit as they're going to go aggressive. Kaga going to use the horn. Will knock up 2 carries. Chaos push to the side. Very tanky, not going down yet. And here comes the turnaround. Bucci is super close to being there. And there's a knock-up. The star is born, and they are falling down. Nah with the damage. The slam against the wall. They've already taken down 2. Kaga is going to be the next target. The burn is there. And goodbye to all of MRG. Shakur is going to be the next. The Penta is on the cards. Influentic is low, and there is no chance. Painful with the Penta, and it was all too easy.
All too easy, to say the least. Painful with an amazing ultimate into the backline was able to get himself the pentakill. And on the back of this, the Baron should be up and free. And you talked about EMP being so crucial, so he will be able to pick up the soul for himself. But let's take a look at this fight. Everybody, take a look at what Painful's ultimate is able to do for this team. So, of course, MRG, not in a great position. Kind of flanked on each side. Crystal Arrow lands onto the Talia, takes out him straight away. And then from here on out, a big ultimate from Bucci as well. Killing the Leona, and then able just to run down the rest of the team. Kaga can do absolutely nothing against this. And using his speed over this wall as Shakur. Poor man against nothing, to say the least. The Painful Zonya's in right at the end, and good guys from the LLS side leave it up to him to finish off this Baron and get the pentakill as well.
Some say Pentas should be earned. You know? I'm in that.
I believe that was earned. Do you not?
I think the first 4 are very strong. I think Painful has played really well in this whole series and in this game. I think the 9-1 already in Seoul is all you need to know. The Baron has been secured, but how do they close out, right? LLS still need to finish this game off. The game is not over until you take the Nexus. But what did MRG do? They had a good engage. They weren't able to get onto the carries, though. Do they maybe have to just bide their time, be a little bit more patient?
I definitely think buying your time could be a good opportunity, but I still think trying to make these plays, when you have so many good, great engaged tools, like Leona, like Lord, who can try and Weaver's Wall someone out, you need to try anything, even if it is on Bucci. It's exactly what they're trying.
He is caught out here. 1v4. Nice flash there. Will get him away from the Ornn Horn. Influentic, though, is trying to chase him down from the other side. Will get jumped over. And the speed. Bucci. No, no, no. The outplay is too much.
The outplay is devastating the team, as Crystal Arrow does actually land on one of the members. Bucci stopped 2 of them from resetting.
They're trying to push the base. Bucci is winning this as well. He's doing so much damage. He's able to close them out, and look at the base. They're just running this one down. And Shakur now in massive trouble. The boulder, the damage, the slam. It's all too much, and they're going to be in the base. They're crushing this one to the end. Vaso caught out, burnt, knocked up, and sent back home packing. TP to bring the full team in, but the falling star will send them far. They have to run back to the fountain because LLS are too powerful. Nord going to be burnt to a crisp, and that is going to be the series. Take a bow, LLS. You're going to the finals.
Not just the finals, the grand finals against Venomcrest. And if I have to say it, they deserve this win. Domination coming out in that last game. I can't even say there was just one member of LLS. That whole team, the whole series has really performed so well, only losing one game against a formidable opponent of MRG. Now, we do have to say a big congratulations to MRG for getting this far. Getting third place is nothing to scoff at. But I think it's time to kind of celebrate and really talk about how good MRG really did play. Sorry, LLS played to get themselves the win here.
No, they've been consistently really good throughout the whole day. Right, they looked good in game 1. They made it look simple. Game 3 as well, really controlled, really good gameplay. Game 4, a little bit more scrappy than some of the ones that we had before, but all in all, just very, very strong plays, very consistent, and they had their game plan. They were like, okay, we need to get ahead. We find ourselves ahead. We find ourselves the lead. Admittedly, I thought Ibushi was mainly their main way of getting that, but also in that mid lane as well. They were able to just get Painful really, really souped up on that Aurelion Soul twice now, and they have kind of the secret plan. They have the blueprint of what they wanted to do for their team, and they stuck to it. They stuck to their identity, and they were able to close out those games.
Completely agree with you there. Now that we've actually discussed about how they've won it here, we still have another series to go, I do believe, on Sunday evening. We do have LLS now 100% locked into these finals against the Kings, the people that haven't lost a single game yet in these playoffs of Venomcrest. J-Real, it's great analysing this game. Do you even think the LLS have any way to try and compete against them?
The thing is this, you can never count someone out until they lose the game, right? We've seen it here. People could say, oh, MRG should win against LLS. They won 3-0 last time. They should be the same this time, right? No matter whether Venomcrest had beaten you before, it doesn't matter until you step into that new best of 5. So for me, I think it's a situation where don't count them until they've made their play. I think that Venomcrest look insane at the moment, right? Making it all the way to the finals, the grand finals, without losing a single game. Okay, that's pretty impressive. But I've also seen
it's
them
okay.
have times...
They're killing.
Yeah, they're vibing. You know, they got the vibes.
But
the
just
thing
having a
is,
good time.
they just understand the assignment, right? Which is win the League of Legends games. And I will say this: they have had shaky moments. So could they potentially be shaky on that day? Who knows? We'll have to find out. But that's for you guys to stay tuned. But before we go and do the final sign off, we're going to go to one quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined with an interview from one of the team from LLS. So make sure you stay here to hear what they have to say about the victory. Hello and welcome back and welcome in LLS Dr. Chaos. Obviously, you got to be feeling pretty great after that victory. But what I want to know from you to kick off this interview, right? Actually, no. Let's introduce yourself. You can say your piece. It's your time to be in the victor. How are you feeling after that victory?
Feels really, really good. I'm maybe a bit tired. Stressful time behind me. Just finished my exam phase right today, and then like winning semifinals is pretty fucking damn dope. as a first thing, pumped in the Red Bull, having the energy, and so it feels really good. And I loved that we actually started playing really well as a team again. Because when we faced this team, MRG first time, we played like I don't know, like five 1v1s maybe, or something like that. And this time we actually played as a team, and I think the difference was visible.
Yeah, so I was gonna kick it off with when it came to this game versus the last series. I want to ask you, what do you feel like was the big change? Obviously, you mentioned there about the team dynamic being better, you guys playing better as a 5, but also your picks have changed a lot. So do you feel like maybe the philosophy of how you play the game has also switched up too?
I don't think the picks as an idea changed too much, because it was still like we kind of knew in the first one and in this one that we if we play to our strength, we just outfight them. At least that was the idea behind it. I think the main thing that changed was really the team dynamic and how everyone played their leads. Because in the first game, I mean, obviously on bot lane, we played a little bit like two Shakos. But and the other lanes, we got leads as well before, and we just didn't use it for the team. We just used it for ourselves to try it, and that's obviously a lot harder to snowball than if you have like your whole team behind you. So I think that's the main thing that changed.
Okay.
I did actually want to ask that question of course, you said you played more as a team collectively, and mostly this game came down to top lane and mid lane having some very big leads, especially in this mid to early game, because Bucci in the top lane having an incredible game of this series. How does it feel as the support, and what did you really do to make sure that when one of your other laners gets a lead to facilitate this win?
I mean, my thing is shot calling, so I just look at how to do the macro, and with the warding, like we perma had their enemy jungle spotted out in most of the games, and I used like all the moves that I got to just get into mid lane. I don't think enemy mid lane enjoyed my Nautilus roams too much, but mainly the thing is, I mean, we also used our draft resources for top side. I mean, except for Bucci, like that guy just picks Renekton and top lane is gone. But otherwise, we just blind picked AD support every single time we could, because we just knew we were fine in bot lane. Or like, we thought we were fine in bot lane, which was also the case in every game, except the Braum game. That was a little tough to play. Yeah, so we used the draft resources there, got our mid laner a good counter pick. He wins the lane if he gets a counter pick. If he doesn't, he still like gets even or a lead. But if he gets the counter pick, he just takes over the game, and we just facilitate that with some wards. And that's the main game plan. And since we are faster now on the rotations, I think we were a lot faster on rotations and completely starved them out of those individual leads. So I think that was also the plan, especially after the first game when we realized it works really well to just keep starving them out like that.
Fair enough. All right, I'm going to throw a curveball at you, okay? And if you watch the cast back, you'll hear that we talk about this. So Zaf plays a lot of Bard, right?
Yes.
When do we see you play Bard?
And
why
I'm not involved here. That's
and
his
why
question, all right? Not mine.
Yes. Understandable. It's a good question. I do play Bard from time to time. But my coach is a little bit of a meta slave. Like I already said, like Shaker support must be here. Like I'm known for some very strange picks, and I'm probably like, if I ever had an angle, I would have whipped out the Galio, because that's kind of was my signature champion. But I don't think Bard is gonna happen, because I like being a big beefy tanky boy in the front. And Bard is more of a Yumi.
Don't worry, I'll just leave. Guys, I'm not needed. I don't play League.
You got one more question.
Oh, this is why I cast, you know. My Bard gameplay just isn't of the highest caliber yet. But Dr. Chaos, massive congratulations again. Of course, really well done getting yourself your exams. Hopefully get good results on that. But that is from the past. We need to talk about the future and how you're feeling about how you're doing against Venom Crest. Because, of course, clearly the strongest team in the division. However, if there's one team to take them out, it's easily going to be the second seed. So do you think you have a decent opportunity to face them? And if you do, what do you think is going to make the big difference?
I mean, yeah, I think the difference already is made if we keep up this level of gameplay. Like, if we keep this, I mean, I don't think the individual leads against Venom Crest are going to be as big as this game. But I still think we outlane them in top and mid, and we still lane evenly, even with a blind pick bot lane against Venom Crest. Because even last time we played against them, their early game has been really, really slow. They're really good at not making mistakes from what I see, but they're not the fastest team on the thing. And if we just get an individual lead early game, we just get this slight edge on the rotations, and then we kind of roll over them. And since we play more as a team, I think it's a complete different story this time. Obviously, I hope I'm not going to eat my words, but I think if we play like today, we roll over them.
Well, they always say fortune favors the brave, and obviously you guys were the fortunate ones today. So, with that being said, that is going to be all from our interview. Before you go, is there anyone that you want to shout out?
I don't know. I think Nijit, that guy, his arrows today, absolute
So clean.
beauties. Yes.
I did see him miss one, I swear.
Yeah. I mean, it's his. I mean, he missed a really nice one on mid lane where he just point blank missed it. So gotta say that. But that guy, his improvement, like how fast he improves, how fast he picks up on stuff. I really have to shout it out. And if he keeps on doing that, he's gonna roll over them. Even though we blind pick bot lane next time against Venom Crest.
Okay, thank you very much. I love the confidence. Lovely chatting to you, Dr. Chaos. All the best in the finals. And we'll probably be watching it or casting it. So who knows? Yeah, but good luck either way on Sunday. And that is going to be it from the stream. That's going to be all from us. So I want to say a big shout out to both of those teams, both the MRG and LS for putting on such a good performance. Commiserations to MRG. They put up a good fight. You had a really good season, but unfortunately, you're not going to be making it through to the next stage. But that is going to be it. Shout out to all you guys in the viewers who are watching, and I want to give a shout out to our production team, both Cal and Carvis, for putting on the show to make sure it's bringing you all here. But we are done. We will see you back here on Sunday. Make sure you're here for the finals. It is Venom Crest versus LLS. There is only one winner. Stay tuned to find out who it is.
See you guys.